Chapter 240. However, after activating the arterial soul, Du Xiaofu knew that no matter what the result was, he would not be able to fight again. He would definitely fall into the hands of the law enforcement team. "Brat, go quickly!" Du Xiaoman shouted. Her enchanting figure blocked in front of Du Xiaofu. Runes burst out from the spiritual weapon in her hand as she tried to stop Pan Yu. "There's a spiritual weapon. It looks delicious." The demon stone's voice sounded in Du Xiaofu's mind. It sounded young and tender as it sensed traces of spiritual weapon fluctuations in the surroundings. "Du Xiaoman, you can't stop me!" Pan Yu shouted as he swooped down. His aura was still astonishing as his body was covered in light. Du Xiaoman's spiritual weapon, long sword, trembled as mysterious qi burst out. "Elder sister, back off." Du Xiaofu pulled Du Xiaoman away. He knew that his elder sister was also injured. Although Pan Yu was also seriously injured, Pan Yu was already crazy. He was afraid that his elder sister would not be able to stop him. "Pan Yu, it's not your turn to behave atrociously here." Suddenly, a soft shout was heard. "Qi!" Just as the voice was about to be spoken, a figure in the air seemed to be able to penetrate the space and blocked in front of Pan Yu. The person was shrouded in light. It was dazzling and extremely gorgeous, with a demonic aura. "Qi!" Suddenly, a palm print was shot out from the person's hand. The palm print looked light, but it was extremely fast. It burst out with a powerful pressure, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Pan Yu's expression changed as he immediately shot out a palm print to meet it. "Qi La!" In the air, the two violent energies collided, but only a slight explosion was heard. Runes burst out, dazzling and resplendent. A majestic and powerful force spread out in the air like a curtain of light, then turned into energy that was annihilated between heaven and earth. Dang dang! At the same time, Pan Yu, who was also extremely weak at the moment, was instantly sent flying. Humph! A muffled groan came from Pan Yu's throat. His face became increasingly pale as his gaze suddenly fell on the person who had just arrived. A young man was floating in the air. He had a smooth and fair face and deep black eyes that were suffused with a red light. Anyone who looked at him would feel their heart tremble. "It's Senior Li Yuxiao. Senior Li Yuxiao from our law enforcement team." And the other 3 teams have also made their move. Seeing the young man in the air, the dozens of people in the valley were immediately moved, and their taut heartstrings were immediately released. Li Yuxiao is ranked 15th on the martial roll. As the surrounding discussions rang out, Du Xiaofu also raised his head to look at the sky. Hearing the name Li Yuxiao, Du Xiaofu seemed to recall seeing him when he first entered the academy. He was ranked 15th on the martial roll and was definitely a powerful person. It's the demon extermination, Sword Li Yuxiao. He cultivates the demon extermination art, which is both good and evil. He's ranked 15th on the martial roll. But if he fully activates the demon extermination art, he might be able to charge into the top 10 of the martial roll. However, if he fully activates the demon extermination art, it will cause extreme side effects to his body. Du Xiaoman whispered to Du Xiaofu, the demon extermination, Sword Li Yuxiao, is also the captain of the law enforcement team's second team. In the entire law enforcement team, the second team is also one of the strongest teams. Almost everyone in the second team is ranked on the martial roll. "Li Yuxiao, what do you mean?" Seeing Li Yuxiao suddenly appear in the air, Pan Yu's pale face became even more unsightly. There was some fear in his eyes. Li Yuxiao stood in the air, his figure tall and straight, his light red hair draped over his shoulders, and his dark red eyes rippled. There was an indescribable majesty and devilish evil about him. "Pan Yu, you won't be able to touch Du Xiaofu this time. Let's go." Li Yuxiao said indifferently as he looked at Pan Yu. "You want to protect him?" Pan Yu's eyes twitched when he heard this. If Li Yuxiao wanted to protect that brat, it was definitely not good news for him. "Whether I protect him or not has nothing to do with you. Li Yuxiao looked at Pan Yu. His dark red eyes moved slightly as he said, "You want to deal with Du Xiaofu because Du Xiaofu crippled your cousin, called Zhu Qing. I can tell you that even if Du Xiaofu didn't cripple your cousin, I will cripple your blind cousin." "Li Yuxiao, what do you mean?" Pan Yu's expression immediately darkened. There was confusion in his eyes. He didn't know how Zhu Qing had offended Li Yuxiao. From what he knew, although his cousin was a lecherous trash, he had the ability to steer according to the wind. He definitely wouldn't dare to provoke Li Yuxiao. "Humph." Hearing this, Li Yuxiao snorted and said, "Because your blind cousin, Zhu Qing, attacked that in-name student Sanji. He is also my cousin. Now that blind thing has been crippled, he got off easy. If he falls into my hands, I'll kill them all." "What?" Hearing this, Pan Yu's expression changed. He had already found out the cause of this matter. It was because he had stolen points from a student. However, Pan Yu didn't expect that student to be the terrifying Du Xiaofu. It was one thing for him to stand up for Du Xiaofu, but he was also the cousin of the demon blade Li Yuxiao. Just as Li Yuxiao had said, even if Du Xiaofu didn't make a move, Li Yuxiao wouldn't have let him off. If he fell into Li Yuxiao's hands, given Li Yuxiao's personality, he wouldn't let him live. The only difference was that Li Yuxiao wouldn't kill him in the academy. He would find an opportunity to do so outside the academy. At that time, the academy wouldn't be able to do anything to him. So Old Four has such a terrifying cousin. The conversation in the air was clearly heard by the crowd below. Among the astonished crowd, Du Xiaofu was the most surprised. He didn't expect Old Four to have such a terrifying cousin in Tianwu Academy. It was no wonder Old Four said that he had many ways to take revenge. However, he wanted to keep it for himself. "Pan Yu, listen up. Du Xiaofu is being hunted down by you because of my cousin, Sanji. I owe him a favor. If you dare to touch him, I'll make a move on you. If you dare to touch the people around him, I won't let you off either." Li Yuxiao stared at Pan Yu coldly. "Are you threatening me?" Pan Yu's face darkened and turned ashen. He was fearful of Li Yuxiao, but he seemed to have some sort of backing in his heart. "I know that fellow owes you a favor, but don't think that he's your backing," Li Yuxiao said solemnly. The corners of Pan Yu's eyes twitched. He looked at Li Yuxiao and asked, "Are you going to protect that brat for the rest of his life?" "No one can protect another forever. I will only protect him once. This is what I owe him. Whatever you do in the future has nothing to do with me. However, if you dare to provoke me, don't blame me for being impolite," Li Yuxiao said solemnly. "All right, I'll give you face today." After Pan Yu finished speaking to Li Yuxiao, he looked down at Du Xiaofu below. The coldness in his eyes was undisguised as he said, "Brat, consider yourself lucky today. The next time I see you, it will be when you become a cripple." So, Pan Yu gritted his teeth and soared into the sky with a hint of unwillingness in his eyes. Pan Yu saw the current situation. Even if he was at his peak, he couldn't do anything to Li Yuxiao, let alone now. Moreover, there were other people here. If they really fought, both sides would suffer. It was better to leave first. He was heavily injured and exhausted. He wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Looking at Pan Yu's departing figure, Li Yuxiao's eyes flickered. He withdrew his gaze from the sky and landed in the valley. "Greetings, Senior Li." Everyone in the valley bowed respectfully. Li Yuxiao strode forward and arrived in front of Du Xiaofu. He nodded to Du Xiaoman and said, "Senior Du, are you here to capture him or to help him?" Du Xiaoman asked Li Yuxiao. "This." Li Yuxiao was slightly stunned. Du Xiaofu looked at Li Yuxiao and smiled. "No matter what, I have to thank you for your help." Hearing this, Li Yuxiao's gaze fell on Du Xiaofu. He carefully studied him for a while, and his eyes flickered. However, he quickly restrained himself and said to Du Xiaofu, "You did this for my cousin. I owe you a favor." Du Xiaofu shook his head and said, "That's not right. Sun Ji is my brother. I only helped him get justice. It has nothing to do with you. You don't owe me a favor. Interesting. Li Yuxiao looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. His dark red hair fluttered in the wind. The red light in his eyes made people not dare to look him in the eye. He said, "My cousin asked me to help you. I had no choice but to agree." After a short pause, Li Yuxiao looked at Du Xiaofu and continued, "But I'm helping you this time because I'm also here to arrest you. As a member of the enforcement team, I have a duty. But if I deal with you now, it would be unfair to you and to my cousin. So I'll give you 1 day. In 1 day, no one from the enforcement team will come after you. You can run as far as you can. After 1 day, I'll personally hunt you down, and when we meet again, I won't hold back. If I don't kill you, I will be there." Du Xiaofu didn't refuse. He couldn't refuse. He looked at Du Xiaoman and said, "Sister, you have to be careful of Li Yuxiao. I seem to have caused trouble for you." "He can't touch me," Du Xiaoman said. "Li Yuxiao doesn't dare to touch a member of the law enforcement team. He doesn't have the guts." Hearing this, Li Yuxiao interrupted. Yes. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu was slightly relieved. He continued to say to Du Xiaoman, "There is something I need you to do for me." "What is it?" Du Xiaoman frowned as she looked at the purple-robed young man's deep eyes that were dripping with blood. She didn't know what to do. Chapter 241. Help me tell Ouyang Shuang that I'm fine. Du Xiaofu didn't ask his elder sister about Dai Xingyu and the king-scaled demonic tiger situation. In any case, he wouldn't know even if she asked. However, since Ouyang Shuang had returned to Tianwu Academy, Dai Xingyu and little tiger shouldn't be in any danger. All right. Du Xiaoman nodded her head and her eyes flickered. She turned to Du Xiaofu and said, "Do you still intend to escape? Return with me and take it as an admission of your mistake. I will plead for leniency on your behalf and ensure that you will only receive some punishment. If you continue to escape and get caught, the consequences will be different. At the very least, you will be severely punished. At the very least, you will be killed. At the very least, you will be crippled." A bitter smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's pale face as he said to Du Xiaoman, "If someone likes to chase after me, I'll just run. I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I admit my mistake? Elder sister, I will be fine. Don't worry." So, as soon as he finished his words, the profound qi beneath Du Xiaofu's feet surged. He immediately left with the unfettered steps and disappeared from the valley. "Senior Li, why did you let that brat go? He is a wanted criminal on the bounty board." Bing Qian Li, who had been helped up by his team members, continued to walk forward with the help of the law enforcers. After seeing Du Xiaofu's figure disappear, he said to Li Yuxiao, "His aura was extremely weak, and his appearance could only be described as miserable. Didn't you hear what I said? No one is allowed to chase after him for a day." Li Yuxiao glanced at Bing Qianli and said, "Furthermore, if you chase after him, you will only be courting death. It's not that that brat doesn't dare to kill. Since he has already killed 2 of you, you don't have the strength to do so. So stop thinking about him. If you annoy him and lose your lives, you can only blame yourselves." Yes. Hearing this, all the members of the law enforcement team immediately nodded in embarrassment and did not dare to speak again. Du Xiaoman's brows were tightly knitted together, and her expression was grave. After a long while, she lazily smiled and combed through her hair. There was a trace of a smile at the corner of her mouth, but she didn't say anything. She only quietly watched in the direction that the purple-robed youth had left. "Du Xiaofu, why didn't you let me eat that spirit tool? I can feel that it's not ordinary. It's better than the spirit tool I ate last time. Your strength is still not enough. You can't even resist that guy. Actually, when that guy activated his pulse spirit, you should have activated your own pulse spirit. If I was in a good mood, I might have helped you a little and gotten rid of that guy's pulse spirit." Inside the dense forest, Du Xiaofu was running at full speed. Although Pan Yu had left, that didn't mean that he wouldn't chase after him. Therefore, he didn't dare to stop. Demon Stone's voice kept talking. That strange voice seemed to be coming from Du Xiaofu's mind. "You only know how to make sarcastic remarks. When I was fighting with him, I didn't see you helping me." Du Xiaofu scolded as he ran. Demon Stone said, "You didn't ask me for help. Besides, I can't help you now. But after I break through, if I'm happy, I can help you a little. Then let's talk about it after you break through. I have to find a safe place to heal first," Du Xiaofu said. At this time, he was covered in scars and exhausted. Now that he was gloriously listed on the bounty list, he was afraid that it would attract a lot of people who would be interested in the bounty points. If he randomly met a senior, he estimated that he wouldn't be able to compete with him. Therefore, he had to recover as soon as possible. Du Xiaofu was most worried that Li Yunxiao would catch up with him after one day. If he met Li Yuxiao, Du Xiaofu estimated that he wouldn't be a match for him even if he was in his peak condition. That guy's strength was probably much more terrifying than Pan Yu's. As for Pan Yu, Du Xiaofu was worried that guy would catch up with him. However, he also estimated that the guy was now exhausted and heavily injured like him. In addition, there was Li Yuxiao's deterrence. Therefore, even if Pan Yu wanted to kill him, he would definitely wait until he recovered. "You're being chased by so many people. You should find a place to heal first. Don't drag me down with you." Demon Stone poured oil on Du Xiaofu's fire. Suddenly, the rather tender voice paused for a moment. The voice suddenly sounded in Du Xiaofu's mind. "Du Xiaofu, go to the right. Don't go to the front." Du Xiaofu's figure suddenly stopped in the middle of the dense forest. Looking through the gaps between the leaves, he saw that the right side was a mountain range. Without the cover of the dense forest, it was probably even more dangerous. He asked, "Why go to the right?" "I feel the aura of spiritual herbs on the right side. The aura is very weak and difficult to detect. However, I am sure that there are spiritual herbs there, and there should be a lot of them. In short, the aura is very strange. There are spiritual herbs, and there are a lot of them." Du Xiaofu frowned. At this time, his injuries were extremely serious, and he was exhausted. He didn't know how far he could run. More importantly, he could encounter danger at any time. After hesitating for a moment, he took out Demon Stone and asked, "Can you feel how far it is?" "After crossing a few mountains, we should be there. The aura there is very strange, but there must be spiritual herbs. I am sure that it is a good place." Demon Stone's eyes were faintly discernible as it spoke to Du Xiaofu with a rather confident tone. "Anyway, it is not far. Let's go." Du Xiaofu made up his mind. Anyway, the dense forest was not safe. Maybe there would be an unexpected discovery ahead. Maybe it would be safer then. Gritting his teeth and stamping his feet, Du Xiaofu took out a handful of spiritual herbs from his chinquan bag and stuffed them into his mouth. He then wolfed them down. "Give me some." Feeling the aura of spiritual herbs, Demon Stone suddenly shouted, "Didn't you say that there are spiritual herbs ahead? When we find them, we will split them in half. You can eat whatever you want." Du Xiaofu said, and then directly rushed out of the dense forest, looking at the mountains on the right side. "Du Xiaofu, you stingy guy. You are just afraid that I will eat your spiritual herbs." Demon Stone loudly protested. "What do you know? I am diligent and thrifty. It is a good tradition." Du Xiaofu did not care about his stinginess. He said to Demon Stone, "Since you are so generous, you can give me all the spiritual herbs you find later. Don't take them. Forget it. You should be diligent and thrifty. In the future, don't think about my portion of spiritual herbs." Demon Stone said, "I think I should give you a name. Since you are Demon Stone, I will call you Little Demon." Du Xiaofu fled, his figure flitting across the mountain range. His speed was so fast that it was hard to see him clearly. He did not dare to waste any time. "I feel that I am a divine stone and not a demon stone. Can you call me Stone God?" Demon Stone said, "You were drenched in the urine of a cow. Why don't I call you Urine God?" Du Xiaofu said, "Air." Demon Stone was stunned. Then he said to Du Xiaofu, "Little demon it is. I won't be picky." In the square of Tianwu Academy, in front of a towering jade wall, The name Du Xiaofu appeared on the 88th name on the ranking list. 88th name Du Xiaofu. What is this fellow trying to do? In front of the jade wall, a peerless beauty stood. She had long and slender legs, a curvy figure, and a seductive figure. Coupled with her already peerless beauty, she was simply captivating. The peerless beauty stood there quietly, causing many youths in the square to be reluctant to shift their gazes away. They wanted to take a few more glances at her, but they did not dare to look directly at her. You don't know, but that fellow is too ferocious. He killed 2 seniors, crippled 3 of them, arrested the enforcement team, and stole many Qinquan bags. The enforcement team has been searching for him for so many days, but they are still unable to do anything to him. Beside the peerless beauty, a delicate girl spoke. She was LV Joshua, that little bastard. The woman's delicate face was dignified. She raised her head and looked at the 86th name on the jade wall in front of her with hatred. Then she looked at the 2nd name on the bounty list and murmured softly, "What a pair of father and son! It's really the new generation surpassing the old. Each wave is higher than the previous. What are you muttering about?" LV Joshua asked Ouyang Shuang. The beautiful, tight-fitting girl was Ouyang Shuang, who had just returned to the academy. "Nothing much." Ouyang Shuang snapped out of her daze and said to LV Joshua, "Joshua, help me keep an eye out for any news. I have to make a trip to the Talisman Institute." "All right, I'll look for you if there's any news." LV Joshua nodded. "Thank you." Ouyang Shuang nodded and left immediately. She had just returned to Tianwu Academy and was about to ask someone if Du Xiaofu had come to Tianwu Academy. However, the first thing she heard was that the entire academy was discussing Du Xiaofu. The entire academy was paying close attention to him. After learning about the entire incident, Ouyang Shuang could only smile bitterly. Killing 2 seniors, crippling 3 of them, and arresting the enforcement team. This was the first time she heard of someone in the academy daring enough to do so. Mountains stood tall and dangerous. Jagged rocks of grotesque shapes could be seen everywhere. It was a barren land. "Little demon, is this the place where you said there are spiritual herbs?" On the mountain top, Du Xiaofu had an ugly expression on his face. How was this a place where spiritual herbs could be found? The surrounding mountains were barren, and there wasn't even the slightest fluctuation of spiritual herbs. There wasn't even a trace of spiritual herbs. "It can't be wrong. You have to believe in my talent. This is the place. There are fluctuations of spiritual herbs." Little Demon said with certainty. Even now he was still certain. Du Xiaofu looked at the surroundings. The barren heaven and earth energy in the surroundings were extremely weak. There didn't seem to be any spiritual herbs here. Even if there were, there wouldn't be any spiritual herbs here. He glared at Little Demon and said, "If you dare to lie to me, I'll let you taste the piss of a virgin boy." Chapter 242. Du Xiaofu, do you know that you are very vulgar and have low tastes? The little demon said angrily as it looked around. Then the golden runes on its body started to fluctuate. Golden light started to spread out from its faintly discernible and illusory eyes. Then it suddenly said in surprise, "Haha, I was wondering how I could sense it wrong. It turns out that there is a combination of an illusory formation and a seal. No wonder it was hard to discover. This is the illusory formation and the seal?" Du Xiaofu looked around in surprise. He was also a spiritual talisman master, but he did not sense it at all. Of course, if it wasn't for my talent, it would have been hard to discover. If I had walked in, I'm afraid I would have been trapped and wouldn't be able to get out. The little demon said proudly. This was its absolute talent. It said, "I can sense that the elixir is inside the illusory formation and the seal. What are you so happy about? With the illusory formation and the seal we can't go in." Du Xiaofu stared at the little demon and said, if he could not sense the illusory formation and the seal, there was naturally no way to break it. Moreover, even if he had the ability to break it, he did not have the time and strength to break the illusory formation and the seal. The little demon stared at Du Xiaofu and said, "What do you know? Have you forgotten? Ordinary seals and talisman formations are useless against me. I can go in and out as I wish." Then what should I do? Hearing this, Du Xiaofu subconsciously held the little demon tightly with both hands. "You can't go in now. How would I know what to do? Why don't you bring me outside, and I'll bring some elixir for you to eat?" The little demon said to Du Xiaofu. "No." Du Xiaofu shook his head and said to the little demon, "I don't believe you. You have to bring me in. Otherwise, you will definitely eat all the elixir inside. If you don't bring me in, don't even think about going in." Du Xiaofu really didn't trust the little demon in this matter. For the little demon, once it ate the elixirs, not even dregs would be left behind. "Du Xiaofu, you bastard! You pinched me so hard that it hurts. How dare you worry about me? How shameless!" Little Yao shouted out, his childish voice filled with protest. It's better to be safe than sorry. Du Xiaofu did not care about the small demon's protests at all. "All right, I'll bring you in." The little demon glared at Du Xiaofu and said, "Activate your meridian soul and hide inside it. Then I will lend you a hand. At that time, we will be able to enter this illusion formation and seal together without anyone knowing." "All right." There was a smile on Du Xiaofu's pale face. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, "In that case, if I go inside, I won't have to be afraid of the pursuers outside, right?" "Of course. I feel that this seal and talisman array are very powerful. Most people would not be able to enter," Little Yao said. "Chi la la!" After a while, the talisman around Du Xiaofu's body flashed. He communicated with the martial vein, and the talisman spread. Behind him, the phantom of a 5-fingered mountain spread out. The phantom of the mountain grew and evolved behind Du Xiaofu. Dense spiritual qi spread out and communicated with the energy of heaven and earth. A terrifying power spread out as if it was given life. Then it gradually enveloped his body. Suddenly his whole body was shrouded under the phantom of the mountain. Phew! At the same time, on the surface of the little demon's body, golden talisman patterns flashed. There were also other colors of light spreading out. The colors were colorful and finally spread on the phantom of the mountain around Du Xiaofu. The two seemed to be able to merge completely. The mysterious area was full of lush green. The mountains were connected, and the energy of heaven and earth was shockingly rich. It was like a fog that wrapped around the waist of the mountain. The mountains and rivers meandered, and the bottom was clear blue. The spiritual mountains on both sides were graceful and welcoming. The mountain range was continuous, but as far as the eye could see, it was surrounded by clouds and mist. The mountain path was winding, like a ribbon floating down from the clouds. The shadowy mountains were covered with a thin gauze like cicadas' wings, faintly discernible in the clouds. On the ground, multicolored light filled the air. There were countless exotic flowers and herbs. Chi-la! There was a fluctuation in the space. There was a strange energy that seemed to be able to distort the void. Then, a phantom of a mountain covered with talisman patterns appeared out of thin air. Finally, the talisman patterns disappeared, and a young man in a purple robe was revealed. When the young man looked around and saw the scene that appeared in front of him, he was suddenly stunned. The young man saw that he was already in a colorful world. The multicolored light spread, and the flowing light overflowed. There were exotic flowers and herbs everywhere, and the hillside was full of spiritual herbs. A strong medicinal fragrance assailed his nostrils. In this world, the mountain peaks were connected, the clouds and mist were faintly discernible, and the energy of heaven and earth was rich. It was like a dream, like an illusory world. Even the grass on the ground and the stones on the ground were crystal clear and rippling with multicolored light. Spiritual herbs, there were spiritual herbs everywhere, and the rich and astonishing fluctuations were spreading out. The medicinal fragrance was very tempting. Everywhere one looked, there were spiritual herbs. It was as if they had come to a world of spiritual herbs. Spiritual herbs, it's all spiritual herbs. This is enough to eat. There won't be a problem if I eat until I'm full. In the hands of the young man in a purple robe, there was a mountain stone that spoke. It had eyes and a mouth, and it was very mysterious. What is this place? Why are there so many spiritual herbs? Du Xiaofu was completely shocked at this moment. In this space, he felt that the spiritual energy was very strong, and even the Xian Qi in his body was flowing faster. The air was filled with the smell of spiritual herbs. Just by smelling a few more times, one would be able to get benefits. Could this be the Academy's medicine field? Du Xiaofu murmured. He didn't know if he had heard that the Academy had its own medicine field, and there was a registered student association that was responsible for the care and cultivation of spiritual herbs. Who cares where this place is? We're only responsible for eating spiritual herbs. Little Demon said, looking very excited. He said to Du Xiaofu, remember our agreement. You'll take half and I'll take half. You can't steal from me. There's so much. Why would I steal from you? Du Xiaofu said. He bent down and pulled out a spiritual herb that was emitting multicolored light and stuffed it into his stomach. Eating a little was a great supplement, and he definitely couldn't waste it. So what if it was the Academy's? There were so many spiritual herbs. As long as he wasn't caught, it would be fine. Du Xiaofu said in his heart. So what if the Academy knew that he had stolen the spiritual herbs? Anyway, the law enforcement team was looking for him everywhere, and he was also on the bounty list. Why should he be polite with the Academy? Causing trouble was trouble, and causing trouble was also trouble. Useless guy, these are all low-level spiritual herbs that haven't matured yet. You won't get much effect from eating them for a lifetime. I feel the aura of precious herbs in front. That's the real treasure, Little Demon said. His illusory eyes were shining with golden light. At this moment, he was very excited. Precious herbs. Where are the precious herbs? Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up when he heard this. Precious herbs. They were really precious treasures. As a spiritual talisman master, he had received a lot of guidance from Zhen Qingchen on spiritual herbs. Du Xiaofu naturally knew the origin of precious herbs. Precious herbs, to the outside world, were treasures that only existed in legends. It was said that precious herbs had the terrifying effect of reviving the dead, regenerating flesh and bones, and giving spring to withered trees. It was completely beyond spiritual herbs. After some top spiritual herbs matured, if one was lucky enough to obtain an opportunity, they might be able to advance to the level of spiritual herbs. It was said that precious herbs were the main ingredients for refining the legendary pills. I feel the aura of precious herbs in front. Let's go quickly. Little Demon urged Du Xiaofu. He was even more anxious than Du Xiaofu. He was already drooling because he felt the aura of precious herbs. He didn't have much interest in the spiritual herbs in the surroundings. Okay, let's go quickly. Du Xiaofu nodded. Then, following the direction indicated by Little Demon, he immediately rushed forward. What a huge spiritual herb field. It's really terrifying. Along the way, they crossed over mountains. Wherever Du Xiaofu went, there were spiritual herbs everywhere, no matter if it was a mountain peak or a beach or a rock crevice or beach. Multicolored light spread out, and the spiritual energy fluctuation was astonishing. It was like floating clouds, colorful and flowing light overflowed. It was dreamy and illusory, like a mythical world. Along the way, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but pull out a lot of spiritual herbs and stuff them into his mouth. The deeper he went, the higher the quality of the spiritual herbs. In the end, Little Demon couldn't bear it anymore. He shouted and swallowed a few spiritual herbs that were glistening with multicolored light. Only then did he leave. If it wasn't because he felt the aura of precious herbs, he probably wouldn't leave until he was full. Along the way, Du Xiaofu was worried that he might meet someone here. However, in the end he found that there was no one here at all. Aside from spiritual herbs, there was still a world full of spiritual herbs. This was the world of spiritual herbs. After half an hour, in the valley between two mountain peaks, the surroundings were lush and green. There were spiritual herbs and strange flowers, good wood and neon stones. In the middle, there was a piece of soil that spread out with multicolored light. This soil was extremely strange. The multicolored light spread out like smoke, but not a single blade of grass grew. However, there was a strange spiritual tree that was almost as tall as a person. The spiritual tree that was as tall as a person was also very strange. It was the size of a small bowl, and its branches and leaves were sparse like bamboo. However, it had thick branches and large leaves. Its entire body was green and crystal clear. The multicolored light spread out, and it was dazzling. At the top of the tree, there was a spiritual fruit that was the size of a baby's fist. Its entire body was white and green, and runes spread out. These runes were extremely special. It seemed to spread out a special kind of fluctuation, and it was as if there was a kind of Tao rhythm. Walala! Looking at the spiritual fruit that alternated between white and green from afar, one could feel a terrifying fluctuation rippling out. The rich medicinal fragrance soared into the sky and rippled in the air. Chapter 243. Green Bamboo Spirit Fruit. That's a treasure medicine. The treasure medicine is the green bamboo spirit fruit. Looking at the spirit fruit in the distance, the little demon couldn't help but exclaim excitedly, "Kid, you can't let go of the green bamboo spirit fruit. This is a great opportunity. Don't let that godstone eat it. It's better to give it to you than to let it eat it." At this moment, a familiar voice entered Du Xiaofu's ears. It was Zhen Qingquan's voice. "Little demon, there's a strong person coming." Suddenly, Du Xiaofu said to the little demon in his hand and turned around slightly. "Where? Let's hide for a while. I must eat that treasure medicine. I can't help it." The little demon said immediately. "Shoo!" Before the little demon's voice could finish, it was violently thrown into the distance by Du Xiaofu. It was like an impact cannon. "Du Xiaofu, you shameless human. I understand now. You want to take the treasure medicine for yourself." The little demon's tender voice traveled further and further. After being thrown by Du Xiaofu for a few hundred meters, it disappeared with a swoosh. "Hurry up and take the treasure medicine. Otherwise, the little demon won't let it go." After throwing the little demon behind, Du Xiaofu rushed towards the spirit fruit in front of him. There was only one green bamboo spirit fruit. There was no way to split it equally. Looking at the little demon's excited and drooling face, Du Xiaofu knew that the little demon wouldn't give it to him. Therefore, it was better to use the simplest method, which was to eat it into his stomach first. "Brother Qingquan, you're finally awake? How do you feel?" Du Xiaofu ran towards the spirit fruit and asked Zhen Qingquan. "I'm fine. Where is this place? Why is there a green bamboo spirit fruit?" Zhen Qingquan's voice came from the small pagoda in Du Xiaofu's arms. He said, "I can feel your current aura. You seem to be in a terrible state. Could it be that you got into some big trouble again? It's a long story. I'll tell you when the time comes." Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. In just a few steps, he leaped onto the soil where the multicolored light was spreading. He was almost in front of the green bamboo spirit fruit. Halala! The closer he got, the stronger the medicinal fragrance became. Astonishing energy, fluctuations rippled out. "Du Xiaofu, shameless Du Xiaofu, I want to eat that precious medicine. Let go of me," a tender voice sounded. At this moment, the small demon, who had been tricked by Du Xiaofu earlier, was currently wrapped in mysterious symbol patterns. Its entire body was like flowing light as it rapidly rolled on the ground, catching up with Du Xiaofu at a frightening speed. At this moment, the small demon's speed seemed to be much faster than Du Xiaofu's. Zhen Qingquan seemed to have sensed that the small demon was rapidly catching up. He immediately urged Du Xiaofu, "Kid, hurry up. That divine stone is catching up. You must obtain the green bamboo spirit fruit. If you can eat that precious medicine, It will be of great use to you. This is a great opportunity. Du Xiaofu increased his speed and leaped with all his might. He finally got close to the green bamboo, spirit fruit. He stomped on the ground and leaped forward. He directly grabbed the green bamboo, spirit fruit, which was emitting a medicinal fragrance and contained astonishing energy. Shameless Du Xiaofu, don't even think about getting rid of me. The tender voice sounded in Du Xiaofu's ears. At this moment, the small demon's speed had reached a terrifying level. With a swoosh, it directly passed by Du Xiaofu's face. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's feet left the ground and his hand was about to grab the green bamboo, spirit fruit. Chi! A golden ray of light rushed out and the small demon directly collided with Du Xiaofu's palm. A huge impact force immediately repelled Du Xiaofu's hand. Bang! The huge impact force caused Du Xiaofu's hand to go numb. His palm was in pain, and his hand was also repelled. Haha! Shameless Du Xiaofu! You can't steal the green bamboo, spirit fruit. Ah! After repelling Du Xiaofu's palm, the small demon immediately laughed happily. However, before it could finish its sentence, its laughter suddenly turned into a roar. It shouted loudly, Du Xiaofu, you bastard, don't! In the blink of an eye, Du Xiaofu's hand was repelled. However, his feet left the ground and his body was in the air. He used the momentum to tilt his body and then opened his mouth. A suction force immediately sucked the crystal, clear green bamboo, spirit fruit into his mouth. There was no time to see what the green bamboo, spirit fruit looked like. Du Xiaofu directly took a bite. He only felt that the green bamboo, spirit fruit turned into a gentle and comfortable liquid with a fragrance and sweetness. It slid down his throat and then into his stomach. Bastard, Du Xiaofu, you are too shameless, too shameless. Spit out the precious medicine for me. The small demon roared and went berserk. Its body was wrapped in light golden talisman patterns. It was like a rubber ball that kept bouncing on the multicolored soil. It was completely in a berserk state. I've already eaten it. How can I spit it out for you? All right, I won't fight with you for any of the elixirs here. You can eat them however you want. How about it? Du Xiaofu smiled with satisfaction. Finally, he managed to swallow the elixir. It was so close to falling into the little demon's mouth. How can other elixirs be compared to the precious medicine? Even the golden plum can't be compared. You shameless bastard. You just want to steal my elixirs. The human heart is sinister. Humans are treacherous and cunning. It's too disadvantageous to be with you humans. I don't want to be with you anymore. The small demon went berserk. Its young and tender voice was roaring nonstop. It didn't expect Du Xiaofu to be so shameless. He directly threw it aside and then snatched the precious medicine. This was simply insanely shameless. Don't be angry. At most, the next time I see a precious medicine, I will definitely let you eat it. Du Xiaofu said a little embarrassedly. He felt that he was a little embarrassed about his rude behavior just now. Do you think precious medicines are everywhere? Next time? There won't be a next time. I won't bring you to look for elixirs again. I shouldn't have brought you here. My precious medicine. The little demon was driven mad. It secretly swore in its heart that it would never bring this deranged Du Xiaofu to look for spiritual herbs again. It shouldn't have brought this guy in just now. If it didn't bring this shameless guy in just now, it would be the one eating the treasured herbs right now. Oh no, why is it so berserk? Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's complexion changed greatly. The energy that the green bamboo spirit fruit had transformed into was extremely docile. However, once it reached his stomach, it transformed into an extremely ferocious energy that spread out. The violent energy was like a ferocious beast that had awakened and immediately rushed back and forth in his body. Du Xiaofu was seriously injured and exhausted. At this time, the berserk energy of the green bamboo spirit fruit spread out in his body. The berserk energy of the green bamboo spirit fruit could only be described as terrifying. Rumble, The energy of the green bamboo spirit fruit was rampaging in Du Xiaofu's body. An intense pain suddenly attacked again and again. The berserk energy seemed to want to destroy everything. If it wasn't for Du Xiaofu's body being extremely tough, he was afraid that his body would have exploded and he would have died. Walala! The berserk energy of the green bamboo spirit fruit in his body spread out on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body. His body swelled, and there were fluctuations of green bamboo spirit fruit. Waves of berserk energy wandered on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body, wanting to break out of his body. At this time, Du Xiaofu's body was glistening with light. His whole body was filled with multicolored light, and a medicinal fragrance spread out. It smells so good. It's like the smell of the green bamboo spirit fruit. I really want to eat you, you crazy guy. I'll let you eat the green bamboo spirit fruit raw. You'll be stuffed to death. When the small demon saw Du Xiaofu's appearance, it immediately vented a lot of its anger. Its illusory eyes looked at Du Xiaofu, who was filled with multicolored light and medicinal fragrance. It faintly looked like it was drooling. Ah! As the berserk energy in his body spread out, even with his strong body, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but cry out. The berserk energy of the green bamboo spirit fruit seemed like it was going to destroy his body. The energy was unimaginably huge. Kid, I let you get the green bamboo spirit fruit, but I didn't let you eat it raw. For a Pulsation Realm martial artist to eat a green bamboo spirit fruit raw, you should be considered the first in history. Zhen Qingquan's voice came out. He hurriedly said to Du Xiaofu, hurry up and cultivate. Refine the energy in your body. Hurry. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu couldn't care less. He immediately sat down cross-legged under the green bamboo spirit fruit tree and formed a cultivation hand seal. He circulated the cultivation method of the golden-winged great pung bird race and directly began to refine the energy. Rumble. The berserk energy in his body was still surging like 10,000 beasts, causing the space around him to tremble. Du Xiaofu endured the intense pain in his body. He gritted his teeth and began to cultivate. He began to refine the berserk energy. As the sun set, the silver-gray evening dew began to slowly envelop the mountain range. In the quaint courtyard, Ouyang Shuang's beautiful figure stood quietly. She couldn't hide her sexy figure. She looked at the handsome, middle-aged man holding a folding fan in front of her and said, Uncle Shi, that guy is already on the bounty list. If you don't help him, then no one can help him. You're asking me to help him? The handsome, middle-aged man closed the folding fan in his hand. His slender figure slightly straightened. Although he was middle-aged, it didn't affect his handsomeness. Instead, it made him look even more charming. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. His eyes were like water as he looked at Ouyang Shuang and said, Girl, do you know what that little brat did? How do you want me to help him? Ouyang Shuang looked at the handsome middle-aged man. Her big eyes rippled. She bit her red lips and said softly, Uncle Shi, I know that he went overboard. However, I understand what happened. It's not entirely his fault. Moreover, this time, my parents asked me to look after him. If something happens to him, I won't be able to go back and explain it to my parents. Uncle Shi, if you don't give me face, then give my parents face and help that little brat. Thank you, ninefold spiritual emperor commander, for the great reward of 160,000. Thank you. There are still 2 more chapters to go. Xiao Yu is working hard. Chapter 244. Don't try that on me. I won't fall for it. The middle-aged man glared at Ouyang Shuang and said, That brat, like father, like son. Look at the situation now. Both father and son are students of Tianwu Academy, but both of them ended up on Tianwu Academy's bounty board. This will surely become a legend in Tianwu Academy. Uft. Hearing those words, Ouyang Shuang couldn't help but chuckle. Both father and son were on the bounty board. It was fortunate that no one knew of that brat's identity. If this news were to spread out, it would shake the entire Tianwu Academy. The middle-aged man fanned himself and looked at Ouyang Shuang. After hesitating for a moment, he said softly, "When I returned, I received some news from the other elders. It is said that many of the elders feel that the brat's talent is decent. Even though he has caused a huge disaster, there is still a chance for him to be dealt with lightly. At the very least, more than half of the elders are in favor of him being dealt with lightly. If that is the case, his life won't be in danger and his cultivation won't be crippled. However, he will definitely suffer some hardship." "Who?" Hearing those words, Ouyang Shuang heaved a sigh of relief. "Little girl, don't be happy too early. This is also on the basis that the kid won't commit any more crimes. If the kid commits any more crimes and brings disaster to the academy, even those elders won't be able to protect him forever." The middle-aged handsome man said. As soon as the middle-aged man finished his words, his face suddenly twitched, and he took out a jade strip from his chinkuan bag. Walala! At this moment, the runes on the jade strip glowed brightly. The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes and formed a seal with his hands. A ray of rune light landed on the jade strip. In an instant, runes flowed out from the jade strip and entered the middle-aged man's glabella. The middle-aged man closed his eyes. After a few breaths, he opened his eyes and looked at Ouyang Shuang. "Lass, let me tell you a piece of interesting news." "What news?" Ouyang Shuang's lips curled up, and she asked, "Could it be news about that brat Du Xiaofu?" "All the elders of the academy will be holding an elders' meeting tomorrow morning. I'm afraid that something big will happen in the academy." After the handsome middle-aged man finished speaking, he sighed softly and continued to look at Ouyang Shuang. "Also, I just received news that Du Xiaofu seriously injured 4 captains of the law enforcement teams in one fell swoop today and even arrested them again. Therefore, his ranking on the bounty list has risen by another 9 places, from 88 to 79. Halala! Dusk, in a public square in Tianwu Academy, on the huge bounty board, runes flickered and a dazzling light rippled, attracting a huge crowd. On the list, the 79th place had already changed hands. On the original 79th place, Du Xiaofu's name was emitting a red glow. 79th place, Du Xiaofu. That brat, Du Xiaofu, actually climbed up the bounty list. I heard that this morning Bing, Qianli, Qin Lang, Zhu Ding, and Gui Qing were severely injured by Du Xiaofu alone. That's not all. I heard that Pan Yu went to avenge Zhu Qing and ended up with Du Xiaofu suffering heavy injuries. No one gained an advantage. Heavens, how terrifying is Du Xiaofu's strength! I wonder if it's true or not. It's said that Li Yuxiao also interfered with the demon extermination, sword today. That day, Zhu Qing and the others snatched a right-in student, and it seems like he's Li Yuxiao's cousin. Discussions broke out in front of the bounty board. Everyone was shocked by the news. In the dark night, the sky was dotted with twinkling stars. It was as though the Milky Way was laid out by fine sand in the blue sky. The bright moon hung high in the sky, and its moonlight illuminated the majestic palace. "Father, it's already so late. Why aren't you resting?" A young lady dressed in an orange-red outfit walked into the majestic palace. Her slender legs and slender waist outlined her alluring curves. There was a hint of coldness in her elegant disposition, and her amiable demeanor exuded a sense of nobility that deterred others from approaching her. "Shangnan, how are the arrangements going?" In the palace, a middle-aged man who was reading a scroll in his hand lifted his head slightly. He was rather plump and had a big belly. Even though he wasn't tall, he exuded an imposing aura that struck fear in others. The young lady nodded her head and said, "The arrangements are almost done. I've also informed King Xia Manor, King Du Manor, King Ouyang Manor, Ghost King Manor, Witch King Manor, King Gu Manor, King Gu Manor, and King Jiang Manor. They have expressed that they will send their men over to Tianwu Academy. Lass, it's been hard on you." The middle-aged man smiled and said to the young lady, "A few days ago, I received some news about Tianwu Academy. Are you interested in hearing about it? Since father is interested in it, it's definitely not ordinary news. Naturally, I'm interested in it. The young lady nodded her head with interest. Her lips curled up into a charming smile that could topple countries. The middle-aged man slowly stood up. He was dressed in a dragon robe. Even though there weren't any ripples of aura coming from him, no one dared to look him in the eye. He said, I heard that there's a new student in Tianwu Academy. He's only 16 or 17 years old, but his strength is abnormally terrifying. Your third brother was sent flying with a single strike. Recently, many people on the martial ranking were also defeated by him. Hearing those words, the young lady raised her eyebrows and a hint of surprise flashed through her bright eyes. She then raised her head and said to the man in the dragon robe, Father, don't worry. There won't be any problems with the people from the divine court. That's good. I believe in the people from the divine court too. After saying those words, the man in the dragon robe looked at the young lady and said, Shengnan, the divine court might be your sect, but we're still part of the Chung family. The empire has always been under the surname of the Chung family, and we have to maintain our relationship with the divine court. With you around, I'm at ease. However, there's a limit to everything. You have to be careful. The young lady nodded her head. She looked at the man in the dragon robe and said, I understand what father means. Don't worry, the empire will only get better. Father naturally believes in you. You've never disappointed me. The man in the dragon robe looked at the young lady and smiled. Then he said seriously, Then I'll leave everything to you. I've already sent an invitation to Tianwu Academy in the name of my sect and received their response. We're just waiting for the people from the divine court to arrive. Then we can make a trip to Tianwu Academy, said the young lady. Early in the morning, everything was silent. The morning glow dyed the sky, and the mountain range was painted with a layer of gentle gold. Multicolored light filled the air, and the fragrance of elixirs filled the air. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged under the green bamboo spirit fruit tree in a space that was like a mythical world. The violent energy in his body continued to surge, but at this time, Du Xiaofu's body was surrounded by a faint golden halo as he entered into a state of cultivation. As time passed, the intense pain caused by the violent energy in Du Xiaofu's body lessened by quite a bit. Firstly, Du Xiaofu had also entered a state of cultivation. Secondly, he had refined quite a bit of medicinal energy, causing the violent energy in his body to weaken. However, it was only weakened by a little. The energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit was still boundless and surging violently in his body. Du Xiaofu slowly refined the violent medicinal energy. Under the cultivation method of the golden-winged great rocks, the refinement was extremely fast. The surging energy was refined and turned into Du Xiaofu's own pure xianqi. As the boundless medicinal energy settled in his body, Du Xiaofu could feel his bones, muscles, and internal organs absorbing the boundless medicinal energy. The injuries on his body healed automatically as he cultivated. His complexion gradually regained its rosy color. Clouds and mist lingered on the ground where the morning glow spread. At this moment, not far in front of Du Xiaofu, a small bronze pagoda was suspended above the multicolored soil. Its entire body was suffused with flowing light, and mysterious runes were flickering. The air around the small pagoda fluctuated, sucking the multicolored clouds from the multicolored soil into the small pagoda. Shameless Du Xiaofu! I will get my revenge sooner or later. Next time, don't expect me to take you to find spiritual herbs. Amidst the spirit herbs that covered the entire mountain, the little demon's body was covered in mysterious symbols. It ran to the highest level spirit, herbs area, and unceremoniously swallowed stalk after stalk of spirit herbs into its body. The inside of that tiny palm-sized mountain was like a bottomless pit. Large swaths of spirit herbs were swallowed, but it still could not fill its stomach. Early in the morning, the sky was filled with red clouds. The morning glow was dazzling. clouds, and mist lingered on top of a towering mountain. Li Yuxiao's figure leapt into the sky. His tall and straight figure floated in the air. His jet-black, deep eyes were suffused with a red glow. His light red hair draped over his shoulders, giving him an indescribable majesty and devilish evil. Suddenly, Liu Xiao waved his hand slightly behind him and said softly, "Time's up. Begin the hunt." Yes. Immediately, another 9 figures leapt into the air from the mountain peak. They were all at the Pulse Spirit Realm. Whoosh, whoosh! 10 figures and 10 powerful auras instantly streaked across the sky and pounced into the vast mountain range. Tianwu Academy, a simple and unadorned main hall. The surroundings were lush with beautiful trees and exotic flowers. White stones were used as railings that hugged the edge of a pond. Exotic herbs and ancient vines grew through the stones and curled around the eaves. The decorations in the main hall were simple but dignified. At this moment, there were already a dozen old men and women in the main hall. There were also a dozen burly men and women seated in the main hall. Although all of them had concealed their auras, one could sense that every single person in the main hall was an extremely powerful figure. Everyone, Tianwu Academy has received a letter from the Divine Light Court. In 2 months, the people from the Divine Light Court will pay a visit to Tianwu Academy. They will also be accompanied by the people from the Stone Dragon Empire's 8th King's residence. A burly old man in a long robe said to everyone in the main hall. He looked to be in his 60s, and his face was rosy. "I believe that everyone knows the reason why the people from the Divine Light Palace will pay a visit to Tianwu Academy. You just have to make your own preparations. Let's wait for the dean to come out of seclusion." Time's up. There's still one more. Little you, continue to work hard. All right. Chapter 245. Everyone's expressions changed when they heard this, but they didn't say anything. "Everyone, let me tell you a piece of good news. The green bamboo spirit fruit has matured, and it will probably be harvested in 7 days." At the head of the table, a woman in her 50s in a long dress looked at the many elders in the hall and said, "The green bamboo spirit fruit has finally matured." A purple-robed woman smiled. When she was young, she must have been an exceptional beauty. It has already been 20 years. To think that the second green bamboo spirit fruit has matured. A handsome, middle-aged man holding a fan said. He was the middle-aged man that Ouyang Shuang addressed as Uncle Shi. That's right. It has already been 20 years. The long-dressed woman sighed softly and softly said, "Everything has been prepared. Elder Zhou has already made preparations 3 years ago. In 7 days, we only need to wait for the best time to harvest the green bamboo spirit fruit before it can be used to form a pill. At that time, there is hope that the mighty Huang pill will once again be refined. Huangji pellet, we can finally see the Huangji pellet again." When an elder heard this, his gaze trembled. He couldn't help but feel excited as he said, 20 years ago, our Tianwu Academy's medicine department refined the Huangji pellet and the blacksmith department refined the lightning dragon, shocking the world. However, who would have thought that Du Tingxian would obtain the lightning dragon and the Huangji pellet? After 20 years, we finally have the chance to refine the Huangji pellet again. Fortunately, our Tianwu Academy has a large collection of spiritual herbs. We have almost all of the spiritual herbs required to refine the Huangji pellet. We have also collected all of the spiritual herbs that we are lacking. The middle-aged woman's eyes were filled with excitement as she said, "The most important thing is the main ingredient, the green bamboo spirit fruit. Back then, there were 2 of them, one in front of the other. 20 years ago, the other green bamboo spirit fruit hadn't matured yet, so we didn't harvest it. After waiting for 20 years, we can finally harvest it in 7 days. Elder Zhou has been preparing for it since 3 years ago. I hope that he will succeed." At this moment, the long-robed elder's gaze was filled with anticipation as he said, "At that time we'll be prepared." Back then, when Elder Zhou refined the Huangji pellet, he attracted the attention of many experts. If they weren't wary of our Tianwu Academy, they would have taken the opportunity to make a move. One more thing. These days, that registered student, Du Xiaofu, has become more and more lawless. What do you think? Have you thought about how to punish him? A long-robed elder looked at the crowd and said, Our Tianwu Academy has its own rules. If we continue to allow him to do as he pleases, it won't be long before we become the laughingstock of Tianwu Academy. He's just a youngster. At such a young age, he probably likes to play around. This time he did go a little overboard, but it's not to the extent of becoming the laughingstock of the academy. Elder Fu's words are too serious, said the purple-clothed woman who had originally spoken. Elder Shangguan, I heard that Du Xiaofu is the younger brother of your direct disciple, Du Xiaoman. Aren't you being too protective of your disciple? Said the long-robed elder. The purple-clothed woman smiled and said, I heard that Elder Fu intends to take Zhang Jian in as your direct disciple. This time, Zhang Jian bullied the freshman and was crippled of his spirit gate. He deserved it. As an elder, why do you have to be so calculative with a child? That Du Xiaofu is still young. Even though he is mischievous, his talent is astounding. If he is properly groomed, there is no one in this batch of freshmen who can be compared to him. In the future, he will bring glory to our Tianwu Academy and bring glory to our academy. Elder Shangguan is right. Du Xiaofu's talent is indeed astounding. If he is properly groomed, he will definitely become an extraordinary person in the future. Such a young man is already so powerful. If he is properly groomed, he will become even more extraordinary. After all, Tianwu Academy has its own rules. It's good to have talent, but we can't allow him to be lawless. While the elders were arguing, the middle-aged man listened quietly to their argument. He didn't say anything and simply watched quietly. Seated among the crowd, Elder Liao didn't say anything either. He was also quietly watching the argument. Time gradually passed. The news of Li Yuxiao, the demon saber of the enforcement division, personally leading the team to hunt down Du Xiaofu, had already spread throughout Tianwu Academy. Then, just when the students of Tianwu Academy thought that Li Yuxiao would be able to capture Du Xiaofu easily with the help of the demon saber, 2 days passed and no one was able to find even a shadow of Du Xiaofu. It was as though Du Xiaofu had vanished into thin air. It was said that Li Yuxiao even mobilized many earth spirit rats to search for him, but to no avail. No one knew where Du Xiaofu had hidden himself. It was as though he had vanished into thin air. In the resplendent space, spirit herbs could be seen everywhere, making it seem like a paradise. Under the bamboo spirit tree, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged. Compared to his ghastly pale complexion 3 days ago, his complexion was now rosy. Du Xiaofu's body was enveloped in a faint golden glow. Mysterious runes circled around him, and a domineering pressure emanated from him. With his body as the center, spatial ripples spread out continuously, resembling the ripples on the surface of a lake. Under this aura, the injuries on Du Xiaofu's body healed swiftly. His powerful physical body was restored to its original state, and it grew even stronger. His aura continued to rise, but Du Xiaofu seemed to be oblivious to it. The golden glow around him grew more and more dazzling. This continued all the way until nightfall. When night fell, the golden glow around Du Xiaofu's body grew even more resplendent. It was as though he had become the only thing in this space, and even the surrounding energy seemed to be fluctuating. Walala! The space seemed to be affected by something. The clouds and mist fluctuated, and the aura became more and more shocking. Finally, at a certain moment, a violent energy fluctuation burst out from the dazzling golden halo. It was as though a suppressed volcano had suddenly erupted. Bang! At this moment, a muffled sound came from Du Xiaofu's spirit watchtower. Within the meridians in his body, pure mystical aura surged into the spirit watchtower, expanding the spirit watchtower once again. Buzz! Buzz! A sound was heard. It was like the sound of wind and thunder, resounding through the night sky. At this moment, within the golden halo around Du Xiaofu's body, there were dazzling talisman engravings spreading out. The light was dazzling, and the intense brilliance spread out from the green bamboo spirit tree. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's aura had miraculously stepped into the complete pulsation realm from the nirvana realm. Walala! After a long time, the commotion in the night sky gradually dissipated. However, Du Xiaofu was still sitting cross-legged. He was still enveloped in a faint golden light as he continued to refine the majestic medicinal energy in his body. Although he had made another breakthrough, Du Xiaofu could feel that he had only refined 20 to 30% of the energy from the bamboo spirit fruit in his body. It could be seen that the bamboo spirit fruit contained a terrifying amount of energy. As he refined the bamboo spirit fruit, Du Xiaofu also felt some other changes. Within the majestic energy from the bamboo spirit fruit, there seemed to be a mysterious medicinal energy. The medicinal energy was extremely mysterious and difficult to detect. It quietly fused into the depths of his muscle cells, fused into his mind, and entered his Naiwan palace. The feeling was like air. He could feel its existence, but it was indescribable. It could only be understood and not described. There was still majestic energy in his body, and Du Xiaofu continued to refine it. As such, time continued to pass unknowingly as Du Xiaofu cultivated. In Tianwu Academy, Li Yuxiao personally led a team to hunt down Du Xiaofu. A total of 6 days had passed, but there was still no sign of Du Xiaofu. When this news spread, the entire academy was in an uproar. I'm afraid no one can capture Du Xiaofu. If even Li Yuxiao can't find the demon extermination sword, I don't think anyone else can. While the entire academy was discussing Du Xiaofu, there was another piece of news that everyone was interested in. A senior had challenged an expert on the martial ranking. A young man who had broken through to the pulse spirit stage in seclusion in the sky martial talisman state challenged Ouyang Shuang, who was ranked last on the martial ranking. There were many spectators on the Peace Plaza when the two of them battled. In the following battle, although the young man was extraordinary, he was still defeated by Ouyang Shuang. Ouyang Shuang had also broken through to the initial pulse spirit stage. Originally, there were some seniors who thought that since Ouyang Shuang wasn't in the academy for half a year, there was still hope for them to defeat her. However, after this battle, many people's eagerness to give it a try was dispelled. Ouyang Shuang's strength was definitely one of the strongest among those of the same level. It wouldn't be easy to defeat her. Early in the morning, the first rays of the morning sun shone on the mountain peaks, awakening all living things from their slumber. As the sun rose from the east, sparkling and translucent dewdrops dripped from the densely packed leaves of the spirit herbs that covered the mountains and plains. The mist of the early morning rose and the multicolored light flickered, causing it to appear gorgeous and dreamlike. Under the green bamboo spirit fruit tree, a purple-robed youth was sitting cross-legged under the halo of golden talisman inscriptions. His slightly immature face revealed a resolute and sharp will, and his slightly closed eyes and thick eyebrows were like swords. Walala! Above the golden talisman light circle, a powerful aura rippled out. The aura was extremely vigorous and powerful. Chapter 246. His aura fluctuated powerfully, his aura shockingly dense. The golden talisman patterns around him rippled like a tsunami. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's aura was also rapidly rising. Wong Wong! Suddenly, his aura shot out like a flying sword, accompanied by the surging golden halo. The surrounding space vibrated with a faint Wong Wong sound, its momentum like wind and thunder. Whoosh! Under such a terrifying aura, the golden halo became even more dazzling, gradually rippling and forming a spatial vortex around it. The vortex spun, sucking in all the surrounding multicolored light, growing more and more violent. It was like a tornado that spun continuously, growing larger and stronger. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged, connected to the dazzling golden, multicolored tornado. The surrounding space trembled like rolling waves. Looking from afar, it was a shocking sight. Within his body, the energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit was being continuously refined by Du Xiaofu into mystical aura. His aura soared. Du Xiaofu's aura had already reached the peak of the perfected pulsation realm, but it continued to soar like a bottomless pit with no end. As if it had lost control, Du Xiaofu's face also began to contort. Suddenly, Zhen Qingchuan's urgent voice rang out from the small pagoda that was absorbing the multicolored light from the soil. "Kid, hurry up and compress and release your mystical aura. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. If you want to break through to the pulsation realm, the pulsation spirit is the key. Your understanding of the pulsation spirit has not reached the point where you can break through to the pulsation spirit realm. No matter how full your mystical aura is, you won't be able to break through. Brother Qingchen, I can't stop. The energy contained in the green bamboo spirit fruit is too vast. I can't release it at all." Du Xiaofu opened his eyes, a crimson light surging within them. At this moment, the medicinal energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit had already surged into his spirit watchtower, filling his meridians. "Compress it and release it. Otherwise, your divine watchtower will explode." "Who told you to eat the green bamboo spirit fruit in one bite? That's a precious medicine. With your pulsation realm cultivation, it's already a miracle that you're still alive after eating it." Zhen Qingchuan's figure appeared in the small tower. His wretched eyes were filled with seriousness as he looked at the majestic energy storm in front of him. "Release." Du Xiaofu's hand seals continuously changed as he forcefully suppressed the profound qi in his body, forcing it out of the God Watchtower. Otherwise, if he was unable to break through, the God Watchtower would directly explode. "Ah!" Du Xiaofu let out a painful scream. His entire body swelled and trembled. The surging energy from the cyan bamboo spirit fruit in his body had been refined into profound qi and entered the divine watchtower. At this moment, it wanted to squeeze out again, as if it wanted to explode his body and the divine watchtower. However, the energy from the cyan bamboo spirit fruit had not been completely refined and was still surging. At this moment, the energy from the cyan bamboo spirit fruit, in addition to the large amount of profound qi that was forced out of the divine watchtower, collided with each other in his body, causing Du Xiaofu's body to feel as if it was about to explode. Under the intense pain, his entire body trembled. Qi. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's reddened eyes focused on a huge mountain peak in the distance. He immediately stood up and ran towards the mountain peak in front of him. His body was surrounded by a dazzling golden tornado that was suffused with multicolored light. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Wherever Du Xiaofu ran past, energy tornadoes would sweep through the sky, whistling through the sky. Sand and stones flew up from the mountaintops, and large amounts of spirit herbs were overturned on the ground. It was as if a hurricane had swept through, and it was a complete mess. The medicinal power of the cyan bamboo spirit fruit is too majestic. I'm in big trouble. Du Xiaofu's face was sinister. At this moment, he could only fuse the profound qi that was pushed out and the energy from the cyan bamboo spirit fruit into his bones and muscles, consuming them like how he refined the golden feather. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. Wherever he passed, the energy storm would sweep through the area, the wind would howl, and the sand and stones would fly everywhere. The spirit herbs would be torn apart and uprooted. To the spirit herbs in this area, this was simply a disaster. This shameless fellow is probably going to explode. Could it be that he's going to go berserk? On top of a mountain not far away, the little demon jumped onto a spirit tree. Its illusory eyes were faintly discernible as it looked at Du Xiaofu, who was bringing disaster along with him, with its eyes filled with doubt. Boom! Du Xiaofu finally arrived in front of the mountain peak. At this moment, the energy in his body was crazily colliding with the profound qi that was pushed out from the god's watchtower. He could only refine the violent energy in his body into his skin and muscles, like how he refined the golden feather. Otherwise, he would really explode. Refine the golden feather! At this moment, there was no other way. Using the golden-winged rock's body refinement technique, Du Xiaofu immediately slammed into the mountain stone walls, just like how he refined the golden feather. He hoped to refine the energy in his body into his bones and muscles. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Under such a collision, the mountain stone walls immediately trembled violently. Large amounts of cracks spread out and shattered, and gravel shot out. It was as if the entire mountain was shaking. This kind of collision also caused Du Xiaofu to feel waves of pain. Under the intense pain, the muscles and bones in the area of impact seemed to be numb. However, under this numbness, there was a violent surge of energy and profound qi that surged in, allowing the bones and muscles in the numb area to absorb it. Continue. However, Du Xiaofu did not dare to stop at all. He continued to ruthlessly smash himself into the mountain peak. After his bones and muscles became numb from the repeated collisions, profound qi and the energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit rapidly flowed through them. Then his bones and muscles began to absorb the energy. Traces of energy fused into his muscles, skin, tendons, and bones. Du Xiaofu could feel that his body, which had already reached the level of bone marrow cleansing, was still strengthening under the continuous tempering. After all, a level was a level, but the degree of strengthening was limitless. It was like two warriors with the same cultivation level, but the degree of strength could be worlds apart. Rumble, rumble, rumble! Time and time again, Du Xiaofu would let out painful howls from time to time. Muffled rumbling sounds continuously rang out, and large amounts of rocks on the mountain peak began to crumble. Then they were smashed into fine powder by Du Xiaofu, as if they were about to move the mountains and overturn the seas. Did that shameless fellow really go berserk? But it doesn't seem like it. Little Yao looked at Du Xiaofu, who was smashing himself into the mountain peak from afar, and his gaze became increasingly doubtful. Early in the morning, in a certain area of Tianwu Academy, the rays of dawn gradually spread. The rising sun was like a fireball that soared into the sky in an instant. Wherever one looked, the dazzling rays of light would cover the sky. The rays of light were ever-changing, and thousands of rays of light shot down from the sky, illuminating the clusters of mountains. The mountains were continuous, and the waves of the mountain peaks overlapped one another. Early in the morning, 20 to 30 people were standing on a rather spacious plaza at the foot of the two enormous mountains. Although their auras were concealed, all of them possessed extraordinary bearings. They were Tianwu Academy's Talisman Department's elder son, Elder He Hu, Elder Fu, Elder Shangguan, and the others from the Martial Department. In the crowd, the handsome middle-aged man, whom Ouying Shuang addressed as Uncle Shi, and Elder Liao were also present. Everyone, today is the day to harvest the green bamboo spirit fruit. After waiting for another 20 years, this day has finally come. Elder son of the Talisman Department looked ahead with unconcealable excitement in his eyes. Elder Zhou has also waited for 20 years. He has already started preparing 3 years ago. Once the green bamboo spirit fruit ripens, it can be used as medicine, said the handsome, middle-aged man softly. The green bamboo spirit fruit is a rare treasure. When it ripens, the sky will be filled with multicolored light that won't dissipate for several days. If we cultivate in it for a few days, we will be able to obtain great benefits, said the tall and sturdy elder He Hu. Biyue, quickly open the restriction. The spiritual liquid has already formed, and we're just waiting for the green bamboo spirit fruit. Suddenly, an aged voice came from midair, clearly falling into everyone's ears. Elder Zhou is already urging us. Everyone, it's time for us to harvest the green bamboo spirit fruit. As soon as Elder Sun finished speaking, profound energy gushed out from his body. His long dress fluttered, and a strand of divine light instantly enveloped him. Numerous hand seals condensed and changed, and the space ahead fluctuated as dazzling rays of light shot out. The dazzling ray of light at the center gradually spread out, and in the end it seemed as if a spatial door had opened before everyone's eyes. Swish! Swish! In an instant, dazzling rays of light shot out from the spatial door, and a medicinal fragrance suffused the surroundings, while a misty mist undulated. I'm working hard to rush the manuscript. Chapter 247. Countless people covet the herb fields of our Tianwu Academy, Hu said with a smile. Hearing those words, Elder Sun said, back then, when the ancestors of our Tianwu Academy obtained this spiritual mountain, they specially cultivated spirit herbs and set up an illusory formation and seal around it, preventing anyone from touching the herb fields of our Tianwu Academy. 2 months ago, in order to prevent any accidents from happening during the ripening of the green bamboo spirit fruit, I sealed off the herb fields completely. Even the disciples are forbidden from entering the herb fields. Now we can harvest the green bamboo spirit fruit. I've never seen such a treasure before in my entire life. I didn't have the chance to see it the last time, Elder Shangguan said softly. The middle-aged man said, It's said that 20 years ago, many elders comprehended the spiritual aura of the green bamboo spirit fruit and benefited greatly from it. The green bamboo spirit fruit is indeed extraordinary, Elder Hu said. Everyone, let's enter the herb fields. After saying those words, Elder Sun took the lead and entered the spatial gate. The elders were filled with anticipation as well. One by one, they entered the spatial gate. Within the herb fields, the mountain peaks extended far into the distance. Clouds and mist drifted about, and the energy of heaven and earth was concentrated. It was as though mist was coiling around the mountain peaks. The mountains and rivers meandered about, creating a dreamlike scenery. On the ground, multicolored light filled the air. There were innumerable exotic flowers and herbs. An entire mountain was filled with spirit herbs. A rich medicinal fragrance wafted through the air. As expected of the herb fields of our Tianwu Academy, they are coveted by many powers. The mountain peaks extended far into the distance. Clouds and mist drifted about, and even the rocks on the ground were sparkling and translucent. Many elders couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Boom! Faint rumbling sounds could be heard coming from the sky in front of them. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Elder Sun looked at the sky and seemed to have sensed something. His face suddenly changed, and he leaped into the air like a bolt of lightning. The elders glanced at one another, not knowing what was going on. Something is wrong here. The middle-aged man stared at the sky with a grim expression. Then he flew into the air as well. An elder's expression changed slightly. Profound chi surged out, and he immediately followed behind. The group flew through the air. Behind the mountain range in front of them, the rumbling sounds gradually became more and more shocking. In the medicine field below, it was a mess everywhere. It was as if a hurricane had swept through. Large amounts of spirit herbs were uprooted, and the soil was overturned and stones fell. Not good, the green bamboo spirit fruit. Elder Sun was in midair, and when he saw the mess in the medicine field below, his heart suddenly tightened, and he immediately rushed to the place where the green bamboo spirit fruit was located. So, when Elder Sun's figure landed at the location of the green bamboo spirit fruit, the soil that was originally filled with multicolored light gradually became much dimmer. The bull-sized green bamboo spirit tree had withered long ago, and the green bamboo spirit fruit was nowhere to be found. What's going on? It seems like this place has been looted. Where is the green bamboo spirit fruit? The handsome middle-aged man and the others all landed behind Elder Sunday, looking at the messy medicinal field and the uprooted spirit herbs all around. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. Then their gazes fell on Elder Sun and the handsome, middle-aged man. The medicinal field had always been under the care and responsibility of these two people. The green bamboo spirit fruit is gone. Elder Sun looked at the withered green bamboo spirit fruit tree, and his body trembled. His eyes changed greatly. When all the elders heard this, they were all shocked. The green bamboo spirit fruit in the medicine field had disappeared. Who could enter the medicine field and take advantage of it? Ah, boy, we are in big trouble. There are many people coming, and they are not weak. In front of the rumbling mountain peak, Zhen Qingchuan's illusory figure had a solemn look in his eyes. He transformed into a wave of energy and swiftly shot into the small pagoda that was enveloped in the light of the talismans. After that, he directly shot into Du Xiaofu's arms. Du Xiaofu, it's not good. There are many people with strong cultivations coming. On the hillside, the small demon who was in the middle of swallowing the spirit medicine rolled his stone body around. Looking at the dozens of figures behind him, he let out a roar and shot toward Du Xiaofu, surrounded by a colorful glow. Shit! Du Xiaofu's red eyes were filled with seriousness. He did not expect people to come at this time. At this moment, the majestic energy in his body and the profound qi that was expelled from the god's watchtower had not been refined much. If he delayed any longer, he would most likely suffer from qi deviation. Brother Qingchen, what should we do? Du Xiaofu asked. His body did not stop, and he continued to hit the mountain peak. Rumble! At this moment, more than half of the huge mountain peak had been smashed. Du Xiaofu had smashed a deep hole at the bottom of the mountain, as if he had dug out a huge tunnel from the bottom of the mountain. You ate the green bamboo, spirit fruit. I'm afraid those people will not let you go. Run first. Zhen Qing's mellow voice was transmitted into Du Xiaofu's ears. Before he could finish speaking, his tone suddenly changed as he said, "Not good, it's already too late. Those people are not weak. Even if I help you, I'm afraid that it will be difficult to escape. Act according to the circumstances first, and think of a way when the time comes. Du Xiaofu, we are in big trouble. Run quickly. Not good, they have caught up. Don't find me." A golden ray of light streaked over and rushed into Du Xiaofu's arms at lightning speed. Swoosh, swoosh! The sound of wind breaking resounded. Numerous figures swept across the sky. The faint fluctuations of their auras were enough to cause the space to tremble. Numerous figures were wrapped in flowing light. They were like rainbows that swept across the sky and landed in front of the mountain peak, one after another. Numerous gazes immediately fell upon the foot of the mountain in shock. A purple-robed youth with a faint golden light rippling around his body, but no profound energy leaked out. He was continuously smashing his body against the mountain wall. At this moment, the youth was like a ferocious beast. With the strength of his body, he almost knocked the huge mountain peak into the air. The entire huge mountain peak was constantly shaking because the bottom was smashed open. Oh my God! Is that youth a human or a beast? What is that youth doing? Is he looking for a beating? Rumble! The earth quaked and the mountain shook. With the violent impact of the purple-robed youth, the mountain peak shook. Countless rocks fell and the ground trembled. Clearly, there was no profound energy leaking out. The purple-robed youth was like a bomb with the strength of his physical body. Every impact caused cracks to spread across the mountain peak. Wherever the youth's body hit, large chunks of rock were turned into dust. The impact caused everyone's hearts to pound in fear. What is that youth doing? That youth is too rare. He is simply abnormal. Is that youth a demonic beast? He is so fierce. What a strong physical body. It is comparable to the strongest demonic beast's cub. Numerous pairs of eyes looked at the purple-robed youth in front of them, and all of them trembled. Du Xiaofu, that boy is Du Xiaofu. In the crowd, Elder Liao's eyes narrowed as he looked ahead. Suddenly, his pupils shrank and his expression changed drastically. Hearing this, The middle-aged handsome man's eyes immediately fell on the purple-robed youth in front of him, Du Xiaofu, the registered student. The dozens of elders' eyes narrowed in an instant. The fierce youth in front of them was Du Xiaofu, who had recently caused an uproar in the academy. Why is that boy here? The middle-aged handsome man's eyes were filled with confusion. Suddenly his expression changed, and he said, "Did that boy do all of this? Did he also steal the green bamboo spirit fruit?" Whether or not that boy stole the green bamboo spirit fruit, we will know once we capture him and interrogate him. Elder Sun's eyes were filled with doubt, but more than that, his expression was solemn. No matter how that boy came in, the green bamboo spirit fruit was the most important thing now. We will know once we capture that boy and interrogate him. I heard that Du Xiaofu is not ordinary. I want to see how extraordinary he is. Elder, he whose eyes moved and his robe shook. Immediately he pounced on Du Xiaofu. I don't know why, but I am writing very slowly today. Some of the words are stuck and the updates are slow. Brothers, please forgive me. I will leave the rest for tomorrow. Little you will not be short on updates, but it will be slower. Chapter 248. Lawless brat, let's capture him first. Elder Fu's eyes flashed, and he was about to follow he who into the air. Elder Fu, it's just capturing a junior. Don't tell me you think Elder, he doesn't have the strength to do so? The purple-robed figure moved horizontally as profound energy fluctuated. Elder Shangwan's figure suddenly appeared in front of Elder Fu, intentionally or unintentionally blocking Elder Fu. Humph! With a deep snort, Elder Fu looked at Elder Shangwan in front of him and could only give up. In the air, multicolored light spread and aura surged. He whose figure instantly arrived in front of the mountain peak. Seeing Du Xiaofu, who was still viciously smashing himself against the rocks in the deep hole in the mountain peak, Elder he who frowned slightly and shouted, "Brat, come over here. This elder wants to ask you something." Du Xiaofu turned his head. Both of his eyes contained a blood-red color as he looked at Elder he who and the dozens of figures in the distance. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. At this moment his body swelled, as if something was about to erupt. After which he completely ignored Elder he who and continued to use the strength of his physical body to violently smash against the mountain wall. Rumble! The mountain peak shook on the verge of collapse. The mountain peak, which had already been hollowed out, looked as if it would collapse at any moment. Rumbling noises rang out incessantly. Large pieces of broken stone rained down from the caved-in ceiling of the cave. You do have some temper. Then I'll capture you and let you slowly explain it to me. Seeing that Du Xiaofu had no intention of paying any attention to him, Elder he who was momentarily stunned. His eyes moved, and he stomped his foot in the air. His powerful figure trembled as he shot straight into the jagged hole created by Du Xiaofu. Roar! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu let out a loud roar. The faint gold symbols and mysterious patterns on the surface of his body immediately surged violently. A domineering and vigorous aura erupted like a volcano, as if a monstrous beast had awoken. In a split second, he viciously smashed against the rock in front of him. Rumble! Thunder roared, and the mountain peak trembled as if there was an earthquake. The huge mountain peak swayed and tilted. Ka! 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 The huge mountain peak finally couldn't hold on any longer. From the bottom of the mountain peak, large cracks began to spread out. Walala! Large chunks of rocks began to loosen and fall, and a volcanic aura began to be released. Rumble! Just as Elder he who rushed into the cave and was about to capture Du Xiaofu, huge rocks began to fall from the ceiling. Oh no, the mountain is going to collapse! Countless huge rocks fell down and instantly enveloped Elder he who. Bang bang! He whose figure was blocked in the middle, causing his expression to change. Suddenly, a halo of energy enveloped him. He waved his hand and destroyed the two boulders in front of him. He shouted, Brat, what are you doing? The mountain is falling. Why aren't you running? Du Xiaofu completely ignored Elder He-Hu. The mysterious runes on the surface of his body surged as he rammed into the mountain wall once again. Boom! The huge mountain peak that was already on the verge of collapse could no longer hold on. Du Xiaofu's final ferocious attack was undoubtedly the last straw that broke the camel's back. The entire huge mountain peak completely collapsed. Oh no, the mountain peak is going to collapse. That brat is still inside. The middle-aged handsome man's expression changed greatly. He instantly disappeared from his original spot. His figure was like lightning as he rushed towards the mountain peak that was already cracking and collapsing. Oh no, I'm going to be buried alive. Elder, he who had just destroyed 2 huge rocks when the surrounding boulders became even denser. In an instant, the outside of the cave was completely covered. It was difficult to retreat even if he wanted to. Rumble, the earth shook and the ground trembled. The huge mountain peak began to collapse completely, and huge rocks fell from the sky. Crack, crack! The surrounding ground cracked like ravines. The huge mountain peak completely collapsed in a short span of 1 or 2 breaths. The huge visual impact was hard to describe unless one saw it with their own eyes. Bang, bang, bang! The deafening rumbling sounds were endless. Dust filled the sky and gravel shot into the sky. An elder was dumbfounded as he watched the huge mountain peak collapse in front of him. The shock was not light. What shocked everyone even more was that the huge mountain peak in front of them was completely destroyed by Du Xiaofu. How savage and abnormal was he? Bang, bang! The handsome middle-aged man's figure retreated rapidly. Just as he reached the bottom of the cave, the overwhelming boulders came crashing down. The cave was blocked in an instant, and he couldn't enter at all. He smashed the boulders in front of him and quickly retreated. Although it did not affect him much, it still made him look extremely miserable. What is that brat trying to do? Elder, he who is buried inside. What a savage brat. Is he trying to bury himself alive? How fierce is he to smash the mountain peak with his own strength? No wonder those seniors were no match for him. Many of the elders exclaimed in surprise. They had personally witnessed the seemingly thin young man, who was like a ferocious beast, forcefully knocking down a huge mountain. The shock in their hearts was difficult to describe with words. The huge mountain peak collapsed, and the aftershocks continued. In the rumbling sounds, large amounts of rocks tilted and buried the surrounding mountains. My spiritual herbs. Elder Sun's eyes twitched. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. He watched as the rocks fell from the sky and buried a large area of the herbal field. He was helpless. Elder, he who is buried inside. Many elders cried out in alarm. Elder, he who is also buried in the ground. This huge mountain peak is more than 1,000,000 pounds. With Elder he whose cultivation, it will not be easy for him to get out. Is Du Xiaofu trying to commit suicide by burying himself alive? With that brat's cultivation, he is most likely dead. With that kind of talent, if he is nurtured a little, he will definitely soar to the sky in the future. It is too late to save that brat. What a pity, what a pity. Everyone discussed and sighed. Many elders were dejected. After personally witnessing Du Xiaofu's ferocious side, many elders clearly understood in their hearts that his talent was truly frightening. If he was properly nurtured, he would definitely soar to the heavens in the future. Now that he had fallen to such a state, they could only feel pity. Boom! A moment later, a loud bang sounded out from the pile of rocks. A figure wrapped in a profound chi halo soared into the sky, and large amounts of rocks were violently shattered. It was Elder He-Hu who was also buried. However, Elder He-Hu's face was in a sorry state, and his expression was not too good. Elder He, where is Du Xiaofu? The middle-aged handsome man arrived in front of Elder He-Hu. He was buried inside. I didn't have time to pull him out. That brat did it on purpose. Elder, he who was a little depressed. He did not expect that not only would he not be able to capture that brat, he would also be covered in dirt. If this were to spread out, he would not have any face left. Quickly think of a way to pull that brat out. The green bamboo, spirit fruit, must be on that brat. Elder Sun's eyes were serious. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. The green bamboo, spirit fruit. Right, the precious medicine is still on that brat. Hearing this, all the elders' eyes trembled as they said in shock, "Quickly find that brat and find the green bamboo spirit fruit." Isn't this a little too difficult? Only by moving this collapsed mountain will we be able to find that brat. If we directly destroy this pile of rocks, I'm afraid that if that brat doesn't die, he will be killed by us. Let's not talk about that brat being killed. Maybe the green bamboo spirit fruit was not put into his chinquin pouch and is still in his pocket. At that time, the green bamboo spirit fruit will also be destroyed by us. An elder said with a serious expression. That huge mountain was more than 1,000,000 Jean. The rocks piled up to form a few mountains. Elder, he who was in a sorry state when he came out. If they were to rush out from inside, although they would suffer a little, it would not be too difficult. It wasn't too difficult for the people present to flatten the rocks that were piled up like a few mountains and crush them into powder. They could do it with a little effort. However, it was different if they were to go in and find a person. They had no idea where to start. Even if they were to crush the mountain of rocks into powder, they would still be able to drown that brat in it. Moreover, if they were to crush all the rocks into dust, that brat called Du Xiaofu would be killed by the shock wave even if he did not die, especially the green bamboo, spirit fruit. If it were to be crushed, they would not be able to cry even if they wanted to. That was a precious medicine. From the position just now, that brat should be buried in the middle. We will destroy a passage in the middle and sweep the pile of rocks in the middle to the surroundings. We will use our mental power to probe for that brat's aura. It should not affect that brat. At that time, we will be able to pull that brat out. The middle-aged handsome man said, "Okay, everyone help. Let's pull that brat out first." Many elders felt that it was feasible and immediately nodded. Elder Sun looked at the messy medicine field and his heart was bleeding. He said to the elders, "Everyone be careful. Be careful of the green bamboo, spirit fruit. Elder Zhou is still waiting to be used in medicine." Swoosh, swoosh! Immediately the elders leaped out and pounced on a large pile of rocks that covered several mountains. They began to attack one after another, shaking the pile of rocks in the middle to the surroundings. However, they did not dare to use too much force and could only be careful. Chapter 249. Within the mountain range, the energy of heaven and earth was rich, multicolored light pervading the air. Spiritual herbs covered the entire mountain range. Chi! On one of the mountain peaks, the soil beneath the spiritual herbs suddenly glowed with a dazzling golden light, as if something was about to break out of the ground. When the golden light instantly blossomed, a 10-foot tall golden light mountain peak was revealed. The golden light mountain peak was faintly discernible, illusory yet very real. As the golden light mountain peak burrowed out from the ground, a young voice rang out from within the glittering golden mountain peak. "Du Xiaofu, I've saved you once again. You must remember to compensate me for my treasured medicine. If I didn't have the ability to escape through the ground, I'm afraid that you would have been finished today. I'll return your treasured medicine in the future. Why didn't you say that you had the ability to escape through the ground before?" A figure was faintly discernible within the golden light mountain peak. "You didn't ask me either," the young voice replied. "We'll talk about it later. Right now, we need to get out of here, quickly. This is the border between the symbol array and the illusory array. We can just leave directly. Those people won't be able to sense us leaving at all." The young voice carried a pleased tone. Then golden light flashed as if passing through space. The golden light mountain peak strangely disappeared into the air without a trace. The mountain range was connected, the peaks overlapping one another. Steep cliffs were everywhere. 10 figures stood in the air, proving that all 10 of them were at the pulse spirit stage. The 10 of them were all young men and women, all around 20 years of age. However, all of them were already at the pulse spirit stage. This was enough to show how extraordinary these 10 people were. Any one of them would be an elite of the younger generation in the outside world. "Captain, it's been 7 days and we still haven't found him. There's not even a trace. What should we do?" A delicate and pretty girl in a tight, long dress asked a young man in front of her. Her aura rippled, and a grand light surrounded her body. Unexpectedly, she was at the pulse spirit stage. The young man floated in the air, his jet-black, deep eyes suffused with a faint red light on his smooth, white face. Anyone who looked into his eyes would feel their hearts tremble. At this moment, those reddened eyes faintly moved, a slight smile appearing at the corners of his mouth as he softly said, "Interesting. That kid is indeed interesting. I didn't expect him to have some ability. Captain, that guy couldn't have left the academy after knowing that we came to capture him, could he? Not far from here. We're dark forest." Aura rippled from his body as multicolored light flickered, giving him an impressive appearance. Li Yuanji's spirit. That kid can't be that fast. If he was that fast, he would have left behind his aura along the way, and the earthen spirit mouse would have found him. That kid must be hiding somewhere. "He definitely hasn't left the school grounds," Liu Xiao said with certainty. Squeak, squeak, squeak. On the ground, a dozen spirit rats suddenly squeaked, as if they had discovered something. They rushed towards the mountain range ahead. "Looks like the spirit rats have discovered something." Li Yuxiao's smile remained unchanged. His reddened eyes flickered, making him seem devilish. The yellow-robed young man shook his robe and said to Li Yuxiao, "I'd like to see if that kid is as extraordinary as you say. Even the top 10 fellows on the martial ranking have never been mentioned by you." Whoosh, whoosh, a purple-robed young man shuttled through the mountain range. It was Du Xiaofu, who had relied on the little demon's abnormal talent to escape the seal of the herb field and the illusory formation. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's figure stopped. His face flushed red as he stared at the sky behind him. "The 10 that have come are not weak. I'll lend you a hand. Let's leave first." Zhan Qingchuan's voice sounded in Du Xiaofu's ears. Du Xiaofu gazed at the 10 flowing figures in the air. His eyebrows twitched slightly as he said to Zhen Qingchun, "Brother Qingchun, there's no need for that for now. I know one of them. They've come at just the right time. Otherwise, I really wouldn't know what to do. Let's ask them for help." Du Xiaofu's pupils darkened as the aura around his body rippled. It was as if something was surging within his body, causing it to swell. Whoosh, whoosh, in midair. 10 flowing light figures appeared in the sky in a few flashes. Waves of aura immediately suppressed the vast sky. 8 of the figures burst forth with a vast light. The figures rushed out and wrapped around Du Xiaofu. Waves of aura suddenly enveloped him. Du Xiaofu's gaze swept across the 8 people above him. They were all at the pulse spirit realm. There were even 2 at the mysterious pulse spirit realm. Their auras were extremely powerful. Finally, his gaze landed on the 2 youths in front of him. Du Xiaofu recognized one of the 2 youths. It was the cousin of Sun Ji, the 15th on the martial ranking Liu Xiao. The yellow-robed youth beside him also had an extraordinary heroic aura. The aura around his body surprised Du Xiaofu. He had actually reached the nirvana realm of the pulse spirit realm. He was probably not weaker than Panyu. "We meet again. I'm really surprised that you were able to hide for so many days." Liu Xiao stood in the air. His figure was tall and straight, and his light red hair draped over his shoulders. He quietly looked at Du Xiaofu. The dark red pupils in his eyes rippled, and there was an indescribable majesty and evil aura. "Your people are not weak." Du Xiaofu's gaze finally landed on Liu Xiao. He said, "You're all on the martial ranking, right? Including me, 9 of you are on the martial ranking. Only one of you isn't." Liu Xiao looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. I admire you. It's better that you don't fight. Come back with me. I'll help you plead with the elders. My words have some effect in front of the elders. Thank you. I appreciate your kind intentions. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. He had just escaped from so many elders. After knowing that he had swallowed the green bamboo spirit fruit, those elders would not let him go no matter what. As he continued to look at Liu Xiao, Du Xiaofu's face became redder and redder. The profound qi that was expelled from his god's watchtower and the energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit kept colliding. He did not vent it out or cleanse it completely, causing the blood and qi in his body to surge. It was getting harder and harder to withstand. If it was any other cultivator of the same level, they would have already been blown to smithereens in this situation. Liu Xiao looked at Du Xiaofu. He felt that the aura on Du Xiaofu's body was a little abnormal. He said, "You seem a little unwell." "That's right, but you guys came just in time." Du Xiaofu smiled. Then, a fierce look suddenly appeared in his eyes. He looked at Liu Xiao and said, "Let's fight. I can't wait any longer. Only if you can defeat them will you have the qualifications to fight with me. You don't have that right now." Liu Xiao said softly. His indifferent tone made people feel that it was natural. There was no room for doubt. He then said to the 8 people around him, "This brat will be harder to deal with than you think. Prepare the 8 directional sky attack." When the 8 people heard this, they were puzzled. The 8 directional sky attack was a joint attack of 8 people. With their cultivation and strength, even the vice captain would not be able to deal with it. Could it be that the captain thought too highly of Du Xiaofu? Yes, the 8 people were puzzled, but they immediately nodded in response. The aura of the 8 people surged. Light spiraled out and runes flickered. They were like 8 balls of light that faintly connected with each other, forming a shape that seemed to be connected yet not connected. "Brat, let's capture you." A slightly plump young man dressed in a short black robe took the lead and rushed towards Du Xiaofu. He swooped down, and his fist was wrapped in mysterious patterns of talismans. The surrounding airflow was directly blasted apart, and the radiance of Xian Qi bloomed, and immediately blasted towards Du Xiaofu. This young man's movements were vast and powerful. It was obvious that he was extraordinary. Bang! In a flash, the young man's fist directly bombarded Du Xiaofu's fist. Du Xiaofu suddenly punched back. He did not dodge or evade. It was simple and direct, without any fancy moves, but it was incomparably domineering. Rumble! With the collision of the 2 fists, Du Xiaofu's body directly sank from the ground. He staggered a few steps, and every step he took crushed a huge rock. After Du Xiaofu stabilized his body, he looked at his right fist that he had just punched out with a strange smile in his eyes. His fist was a little numb, but immediately there was energy in his body that permeated and enveloped his fist. The muscles on his fist instantly absorbed the energy, and the numb feeling gradually disappeared. Then it began to slowly strengthen, just like refining a golden feather. It was just that instead of hitting the rock wall, it had changed to borrowing external force, which was more brutal. Whoosh! The young man who had just bombarded Du Xiaofu was sent flying. Intense pain came from his fist, as if his entire arm was about to be fractured. Blood flowed out from the web between his thumb and index finger. His eyes were filled with shock, and then he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Du Xiaofu had just broken through to the pulsation realm, nirvana realm, not long ago, and was already able to fight against Pan Yu, who was at the pulsation realm, nirvana realm. At this moment, although Du Xiaofu was in big trouble, it did not affect his cultivation at the peak of the complete pulsation realm. His cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. Although the young man was also on the martial ranking, his cultivation was not much different from Bing Qianli and Zhu Ding. How could he resist Du Xiaofu now? Has he become much stronger? Not far away in midair, a ripple flashed across Li Yunxiao's pale red eyes. The yellow-robed young man beside Li Yuxiao suddenly narrowed his eyes. That kid is indeed difficult to deal with. Don't be careless, the delicate girl in a tight dress shouted. Her beautiful figure was moving, and she was as graceful as a startled swan. Suddenly, the palm print in her hand slapped towards Du Xiaofu. It was as fast as lightning, and it was tricky and strange. Mysterious talisman patterns filled the air, and its aura was extremely vast. Du Xiaofu took a step forward. He did not even look at the palm print of the girl in a long dress. He raised his hand and threw out another punch. Mysterious golden talisman patterns exploded, and the void trembled. It was as if he was attacking a dragon, and it was even more powerful than the previous punch. Chapter 250. Simple and direct, as fast as lightning. Boom! Energy exploded. Waves of air surging to the heavens. Rays of light shooting out, talisman patterns blossoming. This was an absolutely powerful head-on clash. The woman in the tight dress was forced back, involuntarily retreating. Her fist was numb, and her arm was in intense pain, as if it had been fractured. The former's eyes were filled with shock, and then dark red blood spurted out. Du Xiaofu did not show any mercy to the fairer sex. That woman's cultivation level was at the profound pulse spirit realm, but in front of Du Xiaofu, she was still unstoppable. Bang, bang! Almost at the same time, 2 attacks landed on Du Xiaofu's back, one from the left and one from the right. A low, muffled sound rang out, and Du Xiaofu did not put up any defense. His body abruptly dove forward, smashing directly into the ground, the impact causing the ground to crack and shatter rapidly. A huge impact, 2 attacks from behind, one of which was an attack from a cultivator at the profound pulse spirit realm. Du Xiaofu did not put up any defense at all. The surging blood and energy in his body instantly exploded, and he could not help but spit out a mouthful of faint golden blood. Pucci. However, after spitting out this mouthful of blood, Du Xiaofu actually felt much better. However, under the impact of the 2 attacks on his back, his spine and bones felt like they were about to be split apart, and it was extremely painful. Du Xiaofu's body slammed into the ground. It was as if he was looking for a beating by slamming into the ground. His chest, shoulders, and knees were in great pain. This was not much different from slamming into the rock wall to refine the golden feather. The only difference was that Du Xiaofu was much more ferocious than the normal method of refining his golden feather, to the point of brutality. His entire body was in pain, but amidst this pain the energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit in Du Xiaofu's body, as well as the profound energy expelled from the godly watchtower, quickly seeped into his body. The muscles on his back, chest, shoulders, and other injured areas instantly absorbed the energy. Every single cell expanded under the stimulation, as if they had been activated. As countless cells absorbed the energy, the feeling of pain gradually disappeared, and then slowly began to strengthen, using the attacks of others and the energy of the spiritual herbs in his body to refine his own body. This was a completely abnormal version of refining his golden feather. Bang! In a short period of time, Du Xiaofu, who had been smashed in front of him, instantly climbed up, ignoring the blood at the corner of his mouth. His body, at the same time as fists, with talisman runes on them, abruptly smashing towards a youth in front of him. The young man was already in front of Du Xiaofu, but as Du Xiaofu was pushed to the ground, he couldn't help but stop. But it was this short pause that allowed Du Xiaofu to charge forward like lightning. His expression changed greatly, and he directly struck out with his palm in a panic. Bang! The youth's palm landed on Du Xiaofu's shoulder, but Du Xiaofu did not dodge at all. His gaze was ferocious, and under the palm, his body only trembled slightly. Pucci! However, the youth's chest was suddenly struck by Du Xiaofu's fist, and his defense was destroyed. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his body flew horizontally. He was simply unmatched. Bang, bang! Another 2 attacks landed on Du Xiaofu's back. The 8-directional sky attack was a joint attack. When one person was attacked, the people around him would immediately come to his aid, and it was impossible to guard against. Usually, the besieged person would have to give up on the opponent in front of him because of the attack from behind. As a result, no matter how strong he was, he would be worn down after a long time. However, Du Xiaofu was different. Du Xiaofu completely ignored the attacks around him and allowed the attacks from behind to land on his back. Bang, bang! After being besieged again, Du Xiaofu was hit hard on the ground again. He fell face first, and a piece of rock was directly shattered into dust. The impact caused blood to flow out of his mouth again. In just a short moment, Du Xiaofu leaped out again. Using the momentum, he soared into the sky and directly grabbed the legs of a youth who did not dare to come too close. He was caught off guard and pulled down from the air. Then, Du Xiaofu grabbed him and pulled him down to the ground. Boom! The youth was directly lifted up by Du Xiaofu and slammed heavily on the rock. The rock shattered and blood flowed out. His eyes were filled with fear. This youth probably never imagined that he, an expert ranked on the martial roll, would be trampled by a youth at this moment. Bang, bang! Another attack landed on Du Xiaofu's body. One from the left and one from the right landed on Du Xiaofu's waist. The explosion of energy caused Du Xiaofu's breathing to become chaotic. Blood continuously flowed out of his mouth. Let's continue. Du Xiaofu laughed heartily. He did not care at all. Suddenly, he grabbed the waist of a youth on his left. He was too fast, so fast that it was unbelievable. The youth could not dodge at all. Bang! After grabbing the youth, Du Xiaofu stomped his foot on the ground. His body jumped a few zhang, and in the end he fell from a low altitude. The youth's eyes were filled with fear. He felt uneasy and wanted to break free from Du Xiaofu's bear hug. However, he realized that he was powerless. Bang! With a dull thud, the ground trembled. The youth was slammed to the ground by Du Xiaofu, causing the ground to crack. Blood spewed out of his mouth. All the bones in his body were about to break. His organs were about to shatter. Du Xiaofu stood up and punched out with lightning speed. The fist was like thunder as it heavily slammed into Du Xiaofu's abdomen. The huge impact caused Du Xiaofu's body to stagger. However, at that moment, Du Xiaofu's fist shone with a golden light. With a series of trembling sounds, it suddenly slammed into the youth's chest. Ka-ka! The youth's chest bones cracked. His eyes were filled with shock. Blood spurted out as his body was sent flying. In a short period of time, 6 of the 8 law enforcers had been cleanly injured by Du Xiaofu, including one who was at the mysterious Meridian spirit realm. The absolutely extraordinary 8-directional heavenly attack had been destroyed by Du Xiaofu without leaving a trace. It was as if the incomparably mysterious 8-directional heavens attack, which had both offense and defense, was completely useless against Du Xiaofu. 1 against 10. The 8-directional heavenly attack couldn't even withstand a single blow. That kid is too terrifying. His physical body is probably comparable to the cubs of the top demon beasts on the heavenly beast list, the yellow-robed youth said in the air. At that moment, there was deep shock in his eyes. Li Yuxiao looked down and said, "They are no match for him. Do you still want to test him?" The yellow-robed youth looked at Li Yuxiao and his eyes flickered. Then he said, "I really want to try. If I can't do anything to him, you will be the last to act. I feel that you will definitely lose. I will wait for you to act." Li Yuxiao said indifferently, "I don't believe it." The yellow-robed youth said as he turned around and flew down. The ground was a mess. 6 law enforcers were heavily injured. The remaining 2 looked at each other, not daring to approach. "Let's continue." Du Xiaofu stepped forward and walked towards the remaining 2. The purple-robed youth was covered in blood, but his aura was still ferocious. He looked ferocious like a ferocious beast, sending chills down one's spine. The remaining 2 felt Du Xiaofu's savagery and did not dare to make a move. Their eyes were filled with fear. "Back off." The yellow-robed youth appeared in front of the two who had already revealed their fear. His chi surged, and his body was enveloped in a dazzling light. Du Xiaofu's footsteps paused. He could feel the yellow-robed youth's strength. At that moment, his aura was no weaker than Pan Yu's. Vaguely, the powerful aura spread out like a storm, as if it was going to explode the space around him. Luo Tianqin, rank 30th on the martial roll. People call him the space-shattering fist. The yellow-robed youth looked at Du Xiaofu and raised his eyebrows. There was a faint expectation in his eyes. He stamped his foot on the ground and immediately rushed towards Du Xiaofu. His fist directly hit Du Xiaofu. Bang! Du Xiaofu was directly sent flying by the punch. Blood gushed out of his mouth from the impact. His body was like a kite with a broken string as he heavily smashed into the ground over 10 meters away. The impact caused the ground to shake and cracks to appear where Du Xiaofu landed. Du Xiaofu stood up again. His body felt like it was going to fall apart, especially the bones in his chest. Under the impact of the punch, his ribs were almost broken. Luo Tianqin's strength was definitely not ordinary. However, Du Xiaofu's pain and disintegration did not last long. Under the premise of the golden-winged rock's body refining method, the energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit and the qi in his body seeped into his body. His body began to gradually recover. Under such a perverted and cruel method of self-abuse, the speed at which the energy and xian qi from the green bamboo spirit fruit was refined into his body was many times faster than the normal consumption of the refining golden feather state. The effect was also many times stronger than the normal effect. Chapter 251. Space-Shattering Fist Luo Tianqin. Rank 30th on the martial ranking. Unfortunately, your strength is mediocre, said Du Xiaofu indifferently. He looked at Luo Tianqin and spat out some blood. There was a faint smile on his face which made people's hair stand on end. Luo Tianqin was even more shocked. His pupils constricted and his fists trembled. He was ranked 30th on the martial ranking. He didn't expect that he wouldn't be able to defeat a young man with a single punch. Instead, he felt his fists go numb. His opponent's body was terrifying. It was as if he couldn't kill him. Boom! After recovering from his shock, Luo Tianqin attacked again. He clenched his fists, and the runes on his fists glowed brightly. His xian qi surged like an erupting volcano. He punched Du Xiaofu's chest again. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body flew far away. Blood flowed out of his body as he slammed into a huge rock. Boom! The huge rock turned into rubble, and the ground shook violently. Interesting. You're a bit stronger than before. Continue. Use your strongest power. Du Xiaofu stood up again in front of Luo Tianqin's shocked eyes. As he spoke, golden blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He smiled and his eyes glowed red. He looked more like a ferocious beast. How can he be so strong? Impossible. He can't be so abnormal. Luo Tianqin shook his head in disbelief. How could a pulsating realm cultivator be so strong? As his hand seals changed, Luo Tianqin's body glowed. His xian qi surged like a hurricane, shaking the space. Runes flickered on his fist, and the energy of heaven and earth around him began to change. Finally, the vast xian qi gathered in front of his fists and formed a dazzling fist. The runes bloomed beautifully and violently. Space-shattering, sky-shaking fist. Luo Tianqin's roar resounded through the mountains like thunder. As soon as he finished speaking, his fist vibrated and a huge force erupted. The runes were dazzling as he attacked Du Xiaofu again. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body was once again sent flying. This time his body was sent flying further than the previous 2 times, and he landed heavily. Boom! Du Xiaofu only managed to stabilize his body after smashing 2 huge rocks in succession and leaving a 10-meter-long crack in the ground. Luo Tianqin stared ahead with a pale face. He had used all his strength just now. Even a quasi-martial marquis would not dare to take his punch head-on. This was not a confrontation, but a physical clash. Even a quasi-martial marquis would not dare to do such a thing. Even if they did not die, they would be severely injured. Even a true martial lord expert would not dare to act recklessly. He did not believe that the kid would be able to withstand it. At this moment, Liu Xiao, who was still in midair, was also looking at Du Xiaofu, who was still motionless on the ground. That kid can't be all right? Around him, the 6 injured law enforcement members, and the other 2 had already crawled up. 8 pairs of eyes were fixed on the purple-robed youth, who was lying on the ground. Phew! After 3 or 4 breaths, seeing that Du Xiaofu was not getting up, Luo Tianqian finally took a deep breath. Impossible! This is absolutely impossible. How could this be? But before Luo Tianqian could completely relax, his eyes suddenly narrowed. The purple-robed youth who was sent flying in the distance actually stood up shakily. The purple-robed youth still had a smile on his face. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were blood red. He looked very ferocious. Now, this is interesting. Du Xiaofu crawled to his feet. All the bones in his body felt like they were about to break, and his internal organs felt like they were about to shatter. If it weren't for the special circumstances, it would have been difficult for his body to withstand the power of that punch. However, under these special circumstances, the power of that punch was unparalleled. For Du Xiaofu, it was a great help. The heavier the external impact on his body, the more useful it was for refining the golden feather. Under the impact of Luo Tianqian's punch, Du Xiaofu's internal organs, bones, muscles, and all the cells in his body were like bottomless pits, absorbing energy to strengthen themselves. This speed shocked Du Xiaofu. It seemed that he could clearly feel that his body was slowly becoming stronger. At this speed, Du Xiaofu felt that it would not take long for him to eliminate the hidden dangers in his body. Striding forward, Du Xiaofeng walked slowly towards Luo Tianqian with a ferocious smile. Looking at Du Xiaofu's every step, Luo Tianqian's eyes could not help but twitch. He did not know why, but a trace of fear began to appear in his heart. It was as if he was facing an undead, ferocious beast. How is this possible? Why would I be afraid? Luo Tianqian's eyes trembled. Profound qi surged, suppressing the uneasiness and fear in his heart. Do you still want to continue? Du Xiaofu stepped forward and appeared in front of Luo Tianqian. Looking at Luo Tianqian, his ferocious eyes revealed a hint of contempt. Boom! Luo Tianqian gritted his teeth and attacked again. His fist was wrapped in runes, and he immediately punched towards Du Xiaofu. Crackle! On the fist, a strong wind swept out, causing a series of low, sonic booms to resound in the air. Swish! Suddenly, just as Luo Tianqian's fist was about to land on Du Xiaofu's chest, Du Xiaofu's figure strangely disappeared in front of the fist. He was like a god, graceful and graceful, causing Luo Tianqian's fist to miss. Qi! Almost at the same time, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in front of Luo Tianqian, accompanied by a fist wrapped in golden runes. Boom! The fist instantly rushed out. It was dazzling, as if it could shatter mountains and rivers. It directly landed on Luo Tianqian's chest, and then a muffled sound suddenly resounded. Luo Tianqian did not expect Du Xiaofu to dodge this time, and even more so, did not expect Du Xiaofu to attack this time. In a panic, and with the speed of lightning, Luo Tianqian could not dodge at all, and was almost defenseless. Just like his 3 punches, they all landed on Du Xiaofu's body without any defense. Swish! Unfortunately, Luo Tianqian did not have a freakish physical body like Du Xiaofu's. After being punched by Du Xiaofu, he spat out blood and was sent flying dozens of meters away. Rumble! After Luo Tianqian landed on the ground, he shattered a huge rock and scraped the ground. Faintly, one could hear the sound of many ribs breaking. It was enough to show that Du Xiaofu did not hold back. Covered in blood, Luo Tianqian struggled several times. His body swayed, but in the end he did not get up again. Luo Tianqian, who was ranked 30th on the martial roll, had used all his 3 punches, but he was still unable to defeat the pulsating realm cultivator. However, he was punched by the pulsating realm purple-robed youth until he could not get up again. How shocking was this? Goo goo! The 8 enforcers sucked in a breath of cold air. They were dumbfounded, and their eyes were filled with fear. At this moment, the 8 of them finally understood why the captain said that this youth was extraordinarily terrifying. That purple-robed youth was definitely not an ordinary person. How ferocious and terrifying was he? Du Xiaofu looked at Luo Tianqin, who had been sent flying, and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He shook his head slightly and sighed. Actually, when I asked you if you still want to continue, it meant that I am going to attack. Your strength is not bad, but you are weak. Whoosh! The dark red figure flashed, and the space rippled like a breeze. Li Yuxiao appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. You're going to attack? Du Xiaofu looked at Li Yuxiao in front of him. There was no fear in his blood-red eyes. Instead, they were filled with anticipation. With Li Yuxiao's strength, he was sure that he could solve all the problems in his body. Looking at Du Xiaofu, Li Yuxiao said, I'm afraid your situation is not much better. Once I attack, I will not stop. You have to think carefully. It is not too late to regret now. Come, I am looking forward to it. Du Xiaofu did not mind. There was only anticipation in his eyes. After the repeated tempering and attacks, many of the problems in his body had been solved. Even his physical body could clearly feel that it was growing stronger and transforming. It was transforming toward a stronger state. You choose, Li Yuxiao said. When his voice fell, his dark red robes fluttered. A red light was faintly discernible in his eyes. The color was crystal clear, and a faint demonic aura lingered around his body. His hand seals changed, and suddenly a series of finger seals flew out. Swoosh, swoosh! A total of 36 finger seals streaked across the sky, and a faint, blood-black light flickered. It was so terrifying that it made one's hair stand on end. At this moment, the energy in the surrounding space was in chaos. It was as if demonic aura was overflowing. The light in the entire space turned dark, and only the 36 finger seals could be seen. Swish, swish, swish! The 36 finger seals seemed to be piercing through space. Li Yuxiao instantly arrived in front of Du Xiaofu. The finger seals, accompanied by an unparalleled pressure, suddenly landed on Du Xiaofu's body and enveloped all 36 acupoints on Du Xiaofu's body. Bang, bang, bang! 36 muffled sounds rang out. After each muffled sound, one of the 36 acupoints on Du Xiaofu's body would explode into a bloody hole. In the end, each of the 36 acupoints would explode into a bloody hole the size of a pinky finger. Chapter 252. 36 bloody holes were blasted open. Every time a bloody hole was blasted open, Du Xiaofu would stagger backwards. Every time a bloody hole was blasted open, Du Xiaofu would stagger backwards for 36 steps before finally falling to the ground with a loud bang. Poochie! Blood gushed out from Du Xiaofu's face. 36 holes had been blasted in his purple robe, and his 36 meridians were dripping with blood. All 36 of his major acupoints were attacked. It was as if his body was about to explode at the same time. His acupoints were in intense pain, and his entire body felt like it was sealed. In an instant, Du Xiaofu seemed to be unable to muster the slightest bit of strength. This is the captain's 36 magic fingers. That guy can't possibly withstand it, can he? Something's not right. If an ordinary person were to withstand the captain's 36 demonic fingers, their bodies would have long been pierced through. However, that brat is completely unharmed. This is too terrifying. Numerous pairs of eyes suddenly locked onto Du Xiaofu. Would that youth still be able to stand up after enduring the 36 demonic fingers of the demon extermination, Sword Li Yuxiao? Walala! Suddenly, under many shocked gazes, the 36 bloody holes on Du Xiaofu's body began to be wrapped by mysterious golden talismans. The flesh on the 36 acupoints began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. In Du Xiaofu's body, 36 major acupoints were damaged. He felt powerless, as if his body was about to lose its vitality. A wave of demonic qi entered his body. However, in just a short instant, the green bamboo, spirit fruit, and profound energy within his body immediately seeped in and tempered his body. In fact, along with the astonishing demonic aura that entered his body, it began to temper his body and temper his 36 apertures. To everyone, the 36 acupoints were like death acupoints. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's 36 acupoints were damaged, but it did not seem to have much effect. It only affected him for a moment before he began to recover, and even began to refine his acupoints. To an ordinary cultivator, the 36 acupoints were equivalent to death acupoints. The cultivation method one practiced was closely related to the acupoints throughout one's body. However, what Du Xiaofu cultivated was the cultivation method of the golden-winged great rocks. It was different from the ordinary cultivation methods that cultivators cultivated. Thus, even though apertures were important, they were extremely important. However, compared to other cultivators, they were a bit different. The demonic qi from Li Yuxiao's death acupoints was to body. It was as if his body had its own intelligence and was especially interested in new things. At this moment, the demonic qi's demonic qi, the body, the demonic qi, is Du Xiaofu's deaths, Li's magic extermination deaths, demonic finger. Xiaofu Xian, Xiaofu death, Xiaofu death. Du Xiaofu could even feel that the evil devil qi was extremely useful to his physical body at this moment. Compared to ordinary energy, the evil devil qi was more favored by his physical body and was easier to absorb. It was rumored that the Golden Great Peng clan was both righteous and demonic in ancient times. Du Xiaofu naturally did not understand this point. Therefore, Du Xiaofu did not know why Li Yuxiao's demonic qi would cause his body to become excited when it entered his body. The energy from the green bamboo spirit fruit, the profound energy that was expelled from the divine watchtower, and the demonic qi from Li Yuxiao's attack. Du Xiaofu's secret talisman engravings flickered around his body. Light spread from his 30 acupoints, and they slowly recovered. His domineering aura gradually began to rise. After that attack, the redness on Du Xiaofu's face and the blood-red color in his eyes began to fade. Under many pairs of trembling eyes, Du Xiaofu stood up once again. His aura seemed to be getting stronger. Heavens, this brat really can't be killed. The experts of the enforcement team were so shocked that their hair stood on end. As the purple-robed youth stood up once again, everyone shivered. Not only did the purple-robed youth, Du Xiaofu, seem to be fine. At this moment, everyone could even faintly feel that Du Xiaofu was getting braver as he fought. The aura on his body was getting stronger and stronger. Naturally, no one knew that the violent energy in Du Xiaofu's body and the profound energy that was expelled from his body had been refined more and more. Therefore, the trouble was getting less and less. The aura that should have been strong in his body gradually revealed itself. If it weren't for their attacks, no one knew how long it would take for Du Xiaofu to get rid of the trouble on his body. If the law enforcers knew that Du Xiaofu had not fought back for so long and had only used their attacks to temper his physical body, who knew what the experts on the martial role of the law enforcers would think at this moment? Very strong indeed. Red light flickered in Li Yuxiao's eyes. A real aura surged. Demonic qi suddenly soared into the sky like a storm. The surrounding rocks and vegetation were swept into the air and finally crushed into powder. Come on. Du Xiaofu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his shabby purple robe. His blood-red eyes had receded by quite a bit. Instead, they were filled with battle intent. A tyrannical aura surged from his body. At this moment, his black hair was fluttering in the wind. A biting cold battle qi surged out. Demon Slayer Li Yuxiao was ranked 15th on the martial roll. If he used his trump card, he would be even stronger. He was definitely a top existence among the younger generation. After all, Du Xiaofu was still young. Although he was much more resolute than his peers, he couldn't control his fighting spirit when facing a top existence among the younger generation. To a certain extent, Du Xiaofu felt some emotional fluctuations and his fighting spirit rose. He wondered how his strength compared to the 15th on the martial roll of the martial roll. All right, I'll fulfill your wish. Sensing the biting, cold fighting spirit from Du Xiaofu, Liu Xiao made his move. Runes spread out and a palm print shot out. The light was dazzling and accompanied by some dark red light. It was both righteous and evil, drifting indeterminately. Du Xiaofu raised his head and his gaze slightly moved. He was rather shocked. Liu Xiao's palm print seemed simple, but it was clearly extremely terrifying. The runes flickered indeterminately as if they were evolving into something. It was vast and oppressive, yet demonic and terrifying. Du Xiaofu didn't dare to be careless. Liu Xiao's strength was much stronger than anyone else. With a wave of his hand, mysterious runes rushed out like a rock spreading its wings. Layer upon layer, they distorted the space. The golden light was dazzling and incomparably domineering. Chi, chi, chi. The two of them collided like this, and energy fluctuations swept out. Both of them were accompanied by waves of mysterious runes that were released like a tide. Terrifying energy surged. Bang, bang, bang. The two of them immediately separated, causing the surrounding space to explode. Dang, dang. Du Xiaofu was forced back and staggered. The impact caused blood to overflow from his mouth. He fell to the ground, but immediately recovered. The blood-red color in his eyes faded a little, and the domineering aura on his body rose at the same time. Liu Xiao's body trembled. His situation was much better than Du Xiaofu's, but his gaze was more dignified. Let's continue. Du Xiaofu stood up and the two of them collided again. The moment they touched, they separated and then collided again. One was overflowing with demonic evil, the other was incomparably domineering. As the two of them fought, the surrounding mountains and valleys were sent flying. The rumbling sound was endless, and each collision was astonishing. Liu Xiao was wrapped in demonic evil. His entire body was overflowing with demonic energy. He released a terrifying force that was both righteous and evil. His body was as vast as the sea, terrifying and intimidating. It was as if he could devour anything and destroy everything. Du Xiaofu's body was surrounded by golden talisman runes. His aura was domineering, and his body seemed to have recovered completely. The aura in the sky fluctuated, and the more he fought, the more powerful he became. It was as if he could suppress everything together and crush everything. The two of them fought fiercely. Both of them were wrapped in dazzling runes. The runes were strangling each other, and it was as if they were about to explode the space and shatter the earth. Bang, bang. After a total of 18 moves, the two of them separated again. This time, Du Xiaofu did not fall to the ground, nor did he spit out blood. Chi! On the other hand, after these 18 moves, the final blood-red color in Du Xiaofu's eyes faded. The domineering aura on his body rose again. On the surface of his body, a faint golden light flowed, and the talisman runes flickered faintly. Huff! Du Xiaofu took a deep breath and did not speak. He let the domineering aura around him spread out. The domineering aura was released completely. Liu Xiao's eyes moved, and he looked at Du Xiaofu. At this moment, he seemed to have seen the real him. At this moment, Liu Xiao seemed to have a feeling that the towering youth in front of him was the real Du Xiaofu. That aura made his heart tremble, and then his eyes trembled. He muttered, "Peak of complete pulsation realm." He actually reached the peak of complete pulsation realm. His breakthroughs are really fast. Because I was busy with some personal matters yesterday afternoon, I only finished updating at 5 in the morning. Once again, I apologize to my brothers. I will update normally today. Because I went to bed early at 6 in the morning, the update was delayed by an hour. However, the next update will be normal. Apologies. At the same time, there were some chapters from yesterday and the day before that were missing a few hundred words. Xiao, you will make up for it today. In addition, I would like to thank the 9th layer Spiritual Emperor, Temperament G111, Sister Smile, and the other brothers and sisters for their tips. Therefore, Xiao Yu will only update normally today and continue to explode tomorrow. Also, I would like to ask for fresh flowers. I realize that my brothers only give me fresh flowers when I explode. Of course, I only have the nerve to ask for fresh flowers when I explode. Hee brothers, I will explode tomorrow. Please support me. Chapter 253. Translator. Atlas Studios. At this moment, Liu Xiao seemed to have a feeling that this towering youth was the real Du Xiaofu. His aura shook his heart and his eyes trembled as he muttered, "Peak of the complete pulsation realm. He's already at the peak of the complete pulsation realm. His breakthrough is really fast. Now use your full strength." Du Xiaofu looked at Liu Xiao. The energy formed by the green bamboo, spirit fruit, and the profound energy expelled from the spirit watchtower had been almost completely dealt with. At this moment, Liu Xiao's aura looked weak and miserable, but in reality he was at his strongest. His aura had truly stopped at the peak of perfect pulsation realm. Swish! Liu Xiao's entire body was wrapped in a dark red aura. He gripped the demon halberd in his hand. His dark red hair swayed in the wind as the halberd was wrapped in runes. The halberd's handle was shaped like a demon's head and could spit out evil demonic energy. The runes on the halberd shone brightly, connecting with the surrounding energy in a violent and shocking manner. Spirit weapon. I want to eat a spirit weapon. This spirit weapon is so strong and even has evil demonic energy. It must taste good. In Du Xiaofu's arms, Xiao Yao's voice sounded in his mind. "You can't eat this person's spirit weapon," Du Xiaofu said in a low voice. "Du Xiaofu, this is the demon halberd, a peak high-grade spirit weapon. It's not any worse than a low-grade practitioner weapon. Take out your weapon." Demonic energy filled the sky, holding the demon halberd. Liu Xiao's figure began to rise into the air. Blood-black light wrapped around him as evil demonic energy surged. "I don't have a weapon yet. It's the same if I use both hands," Du Xiaofu said calmly. As his voice fell, the golden light around him shot into the sky like a rising sun. Runes flowed and flashed. Amidst the dazzling light of the rising sun, a pair of shining rune wings spread out. Wang! At the same time, Du Xiaofu's body soared into the sky, and in an instant he was in mid-air. The wings on his back were overflowing with flowing light, illuminating the sky and directly sweeping away Liu Xiao's blood-black demonic aura that covered the sky. Du Xiaofu stood in the air. The wings on his back was domineering and intimidating, as if he stood proudly. Liu Xiao held the demon halberd. His long hair danced. "Let the battle begins." The demon halberd editor, Lucas, Du Xiaofu Du. Du Xiaofu Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu Xiaofu Xiaofu. Liu Xiao brandished the demon extermination halberd. Demonic evilness overflowed into the sky. Dark clouds surged and blood filled the sky. A chilly wind seemed to blow in the air. It was as if dark clouds were falling and covering the sky. Xiaofeng! The demon halberd split open Du Xiaofu's palm. The blade light seemed to have split open the space, but it was immediately repelled by the wings on Du Xiaofu's back. Demon halberd, triple kill! Liu Xiao shouted. The demon halberd swept through the sky, gathering 3 blade lights. The 3 saber lights were like 3 devil sabers that roared. Blood-black runes bloomed like the bright moon, wanting to turn this space into a land of evil. The 3 devil sabers slaughtered the heavens and earth, covering Du Xiaofu. So strong! Everyone below was shocked. Their captain had just used the demon halberd, but he was already using his full strength. Such strength was enough to contend with a martial marquis in the outside world. Peng descends to the 9th heaven. Suppress. Du Xiaofu's wings suddenly shook. Golden light bloomed in the sky, as if a real golden-winged Peng had descended, carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged Peng clan. His wings were wide open, overbearing, and sharp. He flapped his wings and swept towards the 3 demonic blades. His overbearing and terrifying aura filled the sky. He flapped his wings and swept across the sky. His aura swept across the sky and suppressed everything in its path. Rumble! The demonic blades and the golden wings collided. A series of runes burst out in the sky, as gorgeous as fireworks, causing the entire sky to be resplendent. The aura swept out as if it was about to destroy everything. The surrounding heaven and earth trembled. Mountains shook, and the ground cracked and collapsed. Xiaofeng! In a short time, the golden runes wrapped around the dazzling light. The demonic aura billowed and finally disappeared. In the sky, the 2 figures were pushed back at the same time. Du Xiaofu, you're stronger than I thought, Li Yuxiao said. His dark red eyes flashed with a trace of true shock. His aura surged, and his whole body's aura soared. Obviously, Li Yuxiao's true battle intent had been aroused. Du Xiaofu had moved him greatly. When he was young, he couldn't compare at all. At this moment, this young man was already so terrifying. In a few years, how terrifying would he be? Take another strike. If you can take it, from now on, you'll be the person I, Li Yuxiao, respect the most. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Yuxiao attacked again. His body turned into a dark flowing light. His hair danced, and the surrounding demonic aura surged like waves. The runes of the demonic blade in his hand soared into the sky as if they were alive. With a sonorous sound, the demonic blades swept out. Whoosh, whoosh, demonic aura surged. Dark clouds billowed, and the demonic blades swept across. At this moment, Li Yuxiao was like a demonic god, exuding a terrifying demonic aura. The devil saber was condensed from countless devil chi runes. It was filled with devil chi and was densely packed. It destroyed everything as it flew towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly. At this moment, there was a trace of seriousness in his eyes. As the hand seal was formed, an incomparably domineering aura fluctuated. A lightning-like light flashed in his clear eyes, and his purple robe fluttered in an instant. Boom! Suddenly, with Du Xiaofu as the center, spatial cracks spread out from the soles of his feet, spreading to the sky. Roar! Du Xiaofu let out a loud roar. His roar was like the roar of a dragon, like the cry of a divine elephant. At this moment, the entire space rumbled. His aura was unparalleled, and his pressure was unparalleled. Boom! Amidst the overbearing and surging aura, the mysterious runes on Du Xiaofu's body radiated fluctuations. His hands transformed into countless palm prints at lightning speed, accompanied by the sound of wind and thunder that sounded like the sound of Sanskrit. The palm prints immediately met with the densely packed demonic sabers. Buzz, 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 buzz. Immediately, thunderous explosions resounded throughout the space. The vibrations caused one to feel dizzy. The turbulent energy spread, causing the surrounding space to tremble rapidly. The sky and earth were turned upside down, as if someone was moving mountains and draining seas. The energy in the sky was dazzling. Behind the 2 of them, there was an undulating sea, and runes filled the sky. Uft! Endless energy exploded, and the 2 of them were pushed back at the same time. Blood flowed from their mouths at the same time. Everything in the surrounding space came to a standstill. The vast energy disappeared, and everything returned to normal. You should leave. If you don't leave now, it will be too late. The demon extermination sword in Li Yuxiao's hand disappeared. His dark red sleeves wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth as he looked at Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked at Li Yuxiao. His eyes flickered, and his ragged purple sleeves also wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth. We will meet again if fate allows. Du Xiaofu's figure flashed as his wings flapped, and he left. Li Yuxiao's expression changed slightly as he gazed at Du Xiaofu's back. Moments later, he slowly landed on the messy ground. "Captain, why did you let that brat go?" A girl in a tight dress asked Li Yuxiao. Li Yuxiao's fair face was pale, and there were traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. He forced a smile and said, "Do you think I could have stopped him in the end? His strength is unfathomable. I was only able to gain the upper hand by relying on the demon extermination sword. But if it had continued, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to gain the upper hand." A white-clothed youth with a pale face said to Li Yuxiao, "If Captain had used his final trump card, the brat wouldn't have been able to resist." "Do you think he doesn't have any trump cards?" Li Yuxiao's dark red robes fluttered, and his demonic aura retracted. He said, "Let's disperse. Announce to the outside world that our enforcement team has withdrawn from the pursuit. Try to seal the news today. Captain, you don't have to do this. We lost, but at least you didn't lose. You don't have to seal the news for us. If others find out later, they will think that our second team is lacking in magnanimity." The girl in the tight dress looked at Li Yuxiao and said, "That Du Xiaofu is indeed very strong. He's ridiculously strong. When Captain was at his age, I'm afraid that even you couldn't compare to him." Li Yuxiao smiled and shook his head. He said to the girl in the tight dress, "I'm not trying to cover your faces. If you lose, then you lose. There's nothing to be proud of. If you can't even accept such a small loss, then there's no need for you to cultivate in the future." Li Yuxiao paused for a moment before a smile appeared in his eyes. "However, if the news of our defeat spreads, I'm afraid that many people won't dare to make a move. We can't let those people take advantage of us. When the time comes, it'll be easy for them to say that. Let them try it out themselves. When the news of our defeat spreads, no one will be able to say that it's easy. Captain, you're amazing." Hearing this, the girl's eyes flashed with deep admiration. "You can disperse now. I've comprehended something from the battle with him. From today onwards, I'll enter the Qianwu talisman realm and cultivate in seclusion." As soon as he finished speaking, Li Yuxiao soared into the sky. After a few flashes, he disappeared from everyone's sight. Chapter 254. Multicolored light spread out. Within the medicine field, where the energy of heaven and earth was thick, spiritual herbs covered the mountains and plains. At this time, the pile of rocks that covered several mountain peaks and submerged large swathes of spiritual herbs had all been cleared away under the efforts of several dozen powerful elders. However, there was no sign of Du Xiaofu. For the sake of the green bamboo spirit fruit, the several dozen elders had practically turned over all the rocks on several mountain peaks. One by one, the elders were panting from exhaustion, but in the end, there was still no sign of Du Xiaofu. Could that brat have escaped? The handsome, middle-aged man's eyes were filled with doubt. "There are so many of us. Do you think that brat has the ability to leave right in front of us without anyone noticing?" Elder he who said. On Elder Sun's solemn face, his eyes were filled with doubt as he said, "The seal and formation of this medicine field have already been activated. Other than me, no one else can open it. How did that brat get in?" Hearing this, the numerous elders finally realized this problem. The strength of the seal and formation of the medicine field was something that all the elders knew in their hearts. For that Du Xiaofu to be able to enter the medicine field without anyone noticing was already extremely strange. Since the brat can enter without anyone noticing, I'm afraid he can also leave without anyone noticing. If we want to know the answer, we can only find out after we capture that brat, said the handsome middle-aged man. Green bamboo spirit fruit. Why haven't you plucked the green bamboo spirit fruit yet?" In midair, a low shout rang out, following which an elderly figure landed in front of the messy rubble. It was hard to describe the appearance of this person. He looked to be in his 80s or 90s, and his complexion was hard to describe. That elderly face looked as if it had weathered through 4 seasons, weathered through wind, frost, rain, and dew. His hair was messy, but his long hair was extremely black. "Greetings, Elder Zhou." Following the arrival of this elderly man, the numerous elders' eyes also trembled abruptly as they all bowed respectfully. "Where's the green bamboo spirit fruit? Quickly give me the green bamboo spirit fruit." The old man looked at the mess around him and ignored the crowd. He immediately asked Elder Sun and the handsome middle-aged man, "What the hell is going on here? My medicine field, my spirit herbs. Who did this?" "Elder, the green bamboo spirit fruit has been stolen." Elder Sun had no choice but to tell the truth. Listening to Elder Sun's words, Executive Zhou's face suddenly froze. Although there were many wrinkles on his face, he was completely motionless at this moment, as if he was a stone statue. Then his old face began to wrinkle like a shriveled eggplant, and his eyes began to turn red. "It has been stolen. I have waited for another 20 years. I have refined the medicinal liquid for 3 whole years. Today was supposed to be the day when the green bamboo spirit fruit will be added into the medicine. 7 days later, it should be the day when the mighty Huang pellet will appear in my hands again. Now, you are actually telling me that the green bamboo spirit fruit has been stolen? How can you tell me that the green bamboo spirit fruit has been stolen?" At this point, Elder Zhou was already agitated to the extreme. From his neck to his face, the veins on his temples swelled up like beans. His aged face was filled with rage, as if he was about to go berserk. He loudly shouted, "Find it for me! Immediately find it for me! No matter who stole my green bamboo spirit fruit, I'm not done with him. I absolutely won't let him go." At dusk, the sun slowly penetrated the thin layer of clouds. The red clouds spread in all directions, covering half of the sky. Each layer gradually faded until it became grayish-white. In the hall of the quaint courtyard, at this moment, numerous Sky Marshal Academy elders were sitting upright. Their faces were extremely ugly. In the hall, a woman wearing a tight, long dress and a young man stood. Both of their faces were pale. All of the elders were like cucumbers that had fallen into a vat of salt. They were all shriveled up. They had just realized that they had been working themselves to death to move the rocks, but that brat called Du Xiaofu had already left. "Bastard! That brat is too much of a bastard." "What a despicable brat! He actually dared to play with us. That brat is really capable." Thinking that they had been played by a brat, the faces of the elders began to twitch. They could not help but curse. "Are you telling the truth? Did you really see that brat Du Xiaofu?" Elder Sun stood up and looked at the young man and the woman as he asked. The woman nodded and replied, "Elder, we are telling the truth. We have exchanged blows with Du Xiaofu. Other than the captain, none of us were his match. But in the end, even the captain was unable to capture that brat. That Du Xiaofu is too terrifying." "Du Xiaofu, that brat with the surname Du again? Hurry up and find him. We must get the green bamboo spirit fruit back." At the head of the courtyard, the disheveled elder Zhou had already gone mad. He waved his arms and bellowed, "Everyone search for him! Even if you have to flip the entire academy upside down, you must find that brat." Not only do they share the surname Du, they are also father and son. Hearing those words, the middle-aged man sighed softly. He was clear that the brat called Du Xiaofu was Du Tingshuan's son. Back then, the one who stole the Huangji pellet concocted by Elder Zhou was also Du Tingxian. Who would have thought that the one who stole the green bamboo spirit fruit would be Du Tingshuan's son as well? Scourge, isn't it enough for that bastard to bring disaster to Tianwu Academy? Now he even sent his son here to bring disaster to Tianwu Academy. The more the middle-aged man thought about it, the angrier he got. He clenched the folding fan in his hand tightly. If that bastard Du Tingxian was here, he felt that he would definitely lose control and beat that bastard up. Murongxi, what are you mumbling about? Do you have a way to find that brat called Du Xiaofu? Elder Zhou's gaze landed on the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man shook his head. He didn't dare to look Elder Zhou in the eye and said, "Elder, what if that brat ate the green bamboo spirit fruit?" Hearing those words, the other elders also turned their gazes to Principal Zhou. "If that brat ate my green bamboo spirit fruit, I will use him as the green bamboo spirit fruit to concoct the Huangji pellet." Elder Zhou said furiously. However, the moment he said those words, his head drooped listlessly, as though a blade of grass whose roots were injured. Suddenly, his gaze flickered, and he bellowed, 20 years! I have waited for another 20 years! I will never let that Du fellow off in this lifetime. I will personally look for him. If I catch that brat, I will skin him alive. It's easier said than done to find that brat. That brat probably stole the green bamboo spirit fruit and has already gone into hiding. One by one, the elders also became listless like frosted leaves, withering in an instant. At night, in Tianwu Academy, the bounty board on the jade wall suddenly flickered and a dazzling light burst forth. The light soared into the sky, illuminating the mountain range as though it was daytime. With such a huge commotion on the bounty board, something big must have happened. As the dazzling light from the runes soared into the sky, a large number of figures from the various mountain peaks of the academy rushed toward the square. On the towering bounty board, the 10th name on the board emitted a dazzling red glow. My heavens, what did Du Xiaofu do this time? He actually made it to the 10th place on the bounty board. 10th place on the bounty board. That's a bounty of 5 million points. A right-in student actually made it to the top 10 of the bounty board. This is truly unprecedented in the academy. When the gazes of the crowd landed on the 10th name on the bounty board that was enveloped in a red glow, a commotion broke out. Everyone was astonished. Everyone was guessing and discussing what kind of terrifying thing Du Xiaofu had done to be able to rush to the top 10 of the bounty list in one fell swoop. One must know that on the bounty board there were many martial lord realm experts who were unable to make it to the top 10 of the bounty board. At night, there wasn't a single cloud in sight. The night was dark and the moon was high up in the sky, but no one knew where it was hiding. The mountains were pitch black and the wilderness was gloomy. Inside the cave, the rock was tightly shut. Zhan Qingquan's phantom image appeared in a cave that was not small. The faint light around his body illuminated the small cave with some light. Walala! In the cave, a purple-robed youth was sitting cross-legged. His body was enveloped in a faint golden glow, like a halo that enveloped him. On his young face, there was a resolute and determined look. Above his slightly closed eyes, his thick eyebrows were like swords. Within the faint golden halo, there were talisman runes that shone. Bastard, shameless bastard, he stole my green bamboo spirit fruit. Otherwise, his strength wouldn't have increased so quickly. The small demon in the cave looked at Du Xiaofu, who was enveloped in a golden halo. Whenever he thought of his precious medicine being cheated, he would be furious. No matter how many spiritual herbs he ate in the medicine field, they couldn't compare to the precious medicine. You didn't lose out. He almost took your life. The stronger his cultivation is, the better it is for you. After all, the two of you complement each other right now. Zhan Qingquan's shadow looked at the small demon in confusion. That's the result of his greed. He's too shameless. The little demon was indignant. Then it looked at Zhan Qingquan with its faintly discernible eyes and said, I feel that the little pagoda you are hiding in is not bad. If I can eat it, it will definitely be better than eating any other spiritual weapon. Hearing this, Zhan Qingquan's illusory and wretched face immediately turned deathly pale. Even his lips were trembling as he warned the little demon. Little fellow, if you dare to eat my pagoda, I will refine you into a new pagoda. Ordinary people may not be able to refine you, but that doesn't mean I don't have a way. The small demon blinked and looked at Zhen Qingchen. It said, "Stop trying to scare me. You are only a soul right now. I can feel that you are not an artifact, symbol master. You can't refine me at all." You! Zhen Qingchuan's illusionary head seemed to weigh several hundred kilograms. He looked at the small demon and seemed to want to say something, but nothing came out in the end. Sizzle, sizzle. At this moment, within the mountain cave, the golden light circle around Du Xiaofu began to gradually withdraw. His tightly shut eyes abruptly opened as two rays of light shot out from within them. An ancient and overbearing aura swept out from his skinny body, causing the entire mountain cave to tremble. Huff! He exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. A faint smile appeared on his resolute face. He murmured, "Finally, I'm fine." "You've managed to keep your life." Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and said. He could not help but distance himself from the small demon. "However, I've gained quite a bit." Du Xiaofu stretched his waist. All the joints in his body crackled. He felt his cultivation at the peak of perfection of the pulsating realm and the abundant, profound energy in his body. The smile on his face became even wider. "This is not good for you. You broke through too quickly and did not comprehend enough. That's why you almost lost your life. If your foundation is not stable, it will have a huge impact on your future." Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu seriously and said, "Next, you need to comprehend more of the pulse spirit. At the same time, you need to stabilize your foundation. You must not break through in a hurry. Between the pulsating realm and the pulse spirit realm, the foundation is especially important. Brothers, there will be a big explosion tomorrow. It will probably happen afternoon." Chapter 255. I understand. Du Xiaofu nodded his head. His breakthrough this time was indeed a little too fast, and he was almost in trouble. Fortunately, he came out unscathed in the end. Misfortune was a blessing in disguise, as he benefited greatly from his physical body. He could feel that the benefits he received from his physical body had increased by leaps and bounds. This was especially so after Li Yuxiao's demonic aura had tempered his physical body. Du Xiaofu could faintly feel that there was something special about his physical body. This feeling felt as if it was something that should have existed, yet it was also an external force. It was extremely profound and mystical, as if he had returned to his roots. It was an indescribable feeling. However, Du Xiaofu was certain that after his physical body was tempered by the demonic aura, it was undoubtedly much stronger than before. You still want to comprehend the meridian soul. If you don't return my treasured herbs, don't even think of asking me to help you. The small demon glanced at Du Xiaofu. If this shameless fellow before it was a spirit herb or a spiritual weapon, it would definitely pounce on him and swallow him whole. You must have eaten quite a lot of spirit herbs, so it's not like you're at a disadvantage. The one who wants to enter Tianwu Academy is me, not you. The risk I have to take is also much greater than yours. Naturally, I will get more benefits as well. Du Xiaofu said to the small demon, "Don't try to fool me. We'll split it equally. This is something we agreed on long ago. Even if you didn't steal the spirit herbs, the people of Tianwu Academy would still be chasing after you." Even though the small demon's voice was childish, it was clear that it wasn't someone who could be easily fooled. Du Xiaofu glared at the small demon. In the end, he could only say helplessly, "The next time I come across a treasured herb, I'll definitely leave it for you." Tianwu Academy, I seem to have heard of it before. This name is somewhat familiar. Zhen Qingchen pondered. When he heard the words Tianwu Academy from the small demon's voice, he seemed to be thinking about something. "Brother Qingchen, you know of Tianwu Academy as well?" Du Xiaofu asked curiously. "I remember hearing of it somewhere, but I can't recall where I heard of it. However, I'm certain that I didn't hear of Tianwu Academy here," Zhen Qingchen said. For a moment, he couldn't recall where he had heard of Tianwu Academy, but he could vaguely recall hearing about it. Putting the matter of Tianwu Academy aside, Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "The value of the green bamboo spirit fruit is astonishing. Even the me from back then would be slightly bothered by it. Furthermore, the green bamboo spirit fruit is an invaluable ingredient to concoct the Huangji pill. I'm afraid that Tianwu Academy won't let you off even if you ate the green bamboo spirit fruit. What do you intend to do?" Huangji pill. Du Xiaofu recalled that Ouyang Shuang seemed to have mentioned that his drunkard father had snatched an Huangji pill from Tianwu Academy. He didn't expect that he would be consuming the main ingredient of the Huangji pill. Du Xiaofu frowned. Initially, he was still intending to enter Tianwu Academy. However, given the current situation, not only did he end up on the Academy's wanted list like his drunkard father, he even ate the Academy's green bamboo spirit fruit. Tianwu Academy wouldn't let him off so easily. With a bitter smile, Du Xiaofu said to Zhen Qingchen, "Tianwu Academy is connected to the dark forest. It seems like I can only leave Tianwu Academy to lie low for a while. It seems like this is the only way." Zhen Qingchen replied. Just as he was about to say something, his face abruptly changed and he exclaimed, "Not good, we've been discovered. The intruder is extremely powerful. To think that there would be such a powerful expert in Tianwu Academy. Let's leave quickly." Upon hearing those words, Du Xiaofu's face also changed. If it was back then, Du Xiaofu wouldn't be afraid of being hunted down. At the very least, the elders of Tianwu Academy wouldn't dare to make things difficult for him. However, things were different now. Since he had eaten the green bamboo spirit fruit, the elders of Tianwu Academy would definitely interfere. Zhen Qingchen frowned and said, "We can't leave. His aura has already locked onto this place. If I was at my peak, I wouldn't be bothered by it. However, my current condition isn't good. Even though I have obtained quite a bit of benefits from the green bamboo spirit fruit tree, and my primordial spirit has recovered significantly, it is still far from enough. What should we do then?" Du Xiaogang frowned. "Act according to the situation and find an opportunity to escape. With little Yao's talent, it isn't impossible for us to escape." Zhen Qingchen pondered for a moment before replying. In the dark night, the mountains were pitch black and the wilderness was gloomy. An elderly figure landed in front of a cave in a deep valley. The gray robe that the old man was wearing was a little white. No one knew how many years he had been wearing it for. His face was old, but his long black hair gave off a disheveled and dirty feeling. His pair of deep eyes were just like the stars in the dusky night sky, emitting a deep glow. "Kacha!" As the old man's figure landed, a piece of rock on the stone wall rolled down with a kacha sound, and then a cave was revealed. Chi, a purple-robed young man, leaped down from the cave and landed in front of the old man. Looking at the old man in front of him, there was a slight fluctuation in his deep eyes. Then, in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing, he said, "Greetings, senior." The old man looked at the purple-robed young man in front of him. On his resolute face, his eyebrows were like swords, and his gaze was deep. A trace of surprise flashed across his eyes before he became furious. "You are the Du Xiaofu who stole my green bamboo spirit fruit." "Yes, I am. It was purely an accident that I took the green bamboo spirit fruit. Please forgive me, senior," Du Xiaofu said. He had not changed out of his purple robe, which was still rather shabby. Elder Zhou was originally filled with anger. He originally wanted to find the brat who had stolen his green bamboo spirit fruit and teach him a lesson before doing anything else. But at this moment, for some reason, Elder Zhou was unable to vent his anger. That brat was completely different from the rumors. He was not cruel at all. Instead, he was polite, neither servile nor overbearing. This made it impossible for him to vent his anger. At his age, how could he vent his anger on such a polite young man? Hand over the green bamboo spirit fruit, and I will be lenient. In the end, Elder Zhou was helpless. "Senior, I cannot hand it over." Du Xiaofu shook his head. His expression did not change as he said, "The green bamboo spirit fruit has already been unintentionally eaten by me." "Brat, are you trying to trick me? If you ate the green bamboo spirit fruit raw, with your cultivation level, I'm afraid your body would have exploded and you would have died." Executive Zhou did not believe Du Xiaofu's words at all. Eating the green bamboo spirit fruit raw, not to mention the waste of the precious medicine, even a martial Lord Realm cultivator would not dare to do so. If the young man in front of him took the green bamboo spirit fruit, he would have exploded and died. Du Xiaofu looked at the old man. He was not joking at all. He said, "I really did eat the green bamboo spirit fruit. It was a narrow escape, but fortunately there are no major problems right now." Hearing this, Elder Zhou's figure was like a ghost. He immediately arrived in front of Du Xiaofu. A rune light from his palm immediately enveloped Du Xiaofu's body. As the rune light enveloped him, Du Xiaofu felt the surrounding space suddenly solidify. He was unable to move at all. So strong! His deep eyes secretly trembled. Du Xiaofu was shocked. At this moment, he truly felt how terrifying the old man in front of him was. If the old man directly wanted to kill him, he would not even have the chance to dodge. No wonder Zhen Qingchen said that in front of this person, there was no need to struggle at all. It was better to find a way to escape when the time came, lest he looked for abuse. Chilala. As the rune in the old man's hand enveloped him, on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body, there began to faintly be a rune alternating between white and green. It spread a kind of special fluctuation, revealing a kind of Taoist rhythm. When he saw the rune that revealed a trace of Taoist rhythm on Du Xiaofu's body, Elder Zhou immediately withdrew the rune in his palm. His face instantly paled, his head drooped in front of his chest, and his wrinkled face seemed to have been brushed with a layer of white ash. It was deathly pale, and his lips trembled. Then the aura of Elder Zhou's entire body began to tremble. His face seemed to be as red as fire because of his excitement. His deep gaze gradually became so sharp that it seemed to be able to split open the air. He stared at Du Xiaofu and said, "Since it's like this, then I can only do this. Even if you have just refined the green bamboo spirit fruit, the medicinal power of the green bamboo spirit fruit will still be in your body. Perhaps the effects will be the same." Qi. As his voice faded, Elder Zhou waved his hand. A rather dazzling light immediately enveloped Du Xiaofu. Immediately after, Du Xiaofu's figure involuntarily rose into the air, following Elder Zhou as he flew away. He did not struggle in the slightest, because Du Xiaofu could feel that even if he used all of his means to struggle, it would be useless. Du Xiaofu's brows tightened. It seemed that he had to think of a way to escape. Du Xiaofu felt that this old man would absolutely not let him go. Night enveloped the mountain range. Within the simple courtyard, bright pearls shone. Ouyang Shuang's gaze violently trembled. On her stunning face, her vermilion lips were wide open, and she was so astonished that she could not retract her chin. After a long while, the curve of her fiery figure slightly straightened. Looking at the handsome, middle-aged man holding a folding fan in front of her, her voice was still filled with shock as she said, "Uncle Shi, that brat secretly ate the green bamboo spirit fruit used to refine the mighty Huang pill, and even destroyed half of the Academy's medicinal field, stealing a large amount of high-grade spiritual medicines. You can't be joking, right?" The corners of Mu Rongshi's mouth curled slightly. His gaze contained a feeling of wanting to cry, but having no tears. He was filled with endless hatred as he glared at Ouyang Shuang and said, "Do you think that if what I said was false, that little brat would be able to enter the top 10 of the bounty list? Like father, like son. That bastard, Du Tingxian, it was not enough for him to bring disaster to the Academy. He even allowed his son to bring disaster to the Academy once again. If Principal Zhou knew that that brat Du Xiaofu was Du Tingxuan's son, I'm afraid that he would immediately have the heart to destroy the Du family." Chapter 256. This Ouyang Shuang was at a loss for words. Her father had stolen the Academy's treasures, the mighty emperor pellet and the lightning dragon, while her son had stolen the main ingredient for the second mighty emperor pellet, the green bamboo spirit fruit, as well as a large amount of spirit herbs from the herb farm. Both father and son were listed on the Academy's bounty board. What kind of father and son pair were they? They were practically the bane of Tianwu Academy, born to be its nemesis. A moment later, Ouyang Shuang's red lips parted slightly. After some hesitation, she couldn't help but ask, "Uncle Shi, is there any other way?" Mu Rongshi raised his head and said, "For such a huge matter, I can't help even if I wanted to. If that brat has the ability to escape, then so be it. But if he is captured, he will probably be refined by Elder Zhou like the green bamboo spirit fruit." In the blazing mountain range, the temperature was astonishing. Du Xiaofu's body was bound involuntarily. He knew that he was in the crater of a volcano. The surrounding rocks were crimson red as though lava was surging. A moment later, Du Xiaofu arrived at the courtyard. This courtyard was very strange. It was built with ancient crimson rocks, and the heat in the air was surging. In the vast space, Du Xiaofu was finally released from his bindings, regaining his freedom. At this moment, Du Xiaofu wasn't moved by the fact that he had regained his freedom. Instead, he looked at the crimson cauldron in front of him in surprise. The cauldron was astonishing. It was a 3-legged cauldron with a height of 1 zhang and a diameter of more than 10 meters. It exuded an ancient aura, and many ancient runes were carved on it. Light flowed around it, spreading out in all directions. The most shocking thing was that there were 7 ferocious-looking, mutated beast heads around the cauldron. They looked like dragons and pythons, and they were as red as fire. At this moment, it was as though they were alive. They opened their mouths, and crimson flames were sucked in from the ground. Around the cauldron, crimson lava covered the ground. The aura it exuded was frightening. If one's cultivation was slightly lower, they would probably be vaporized by the high temperature. Walala! The 7 streams of lava were connected to the cauldron. Within the cauldron, a glow spread out, and the smell of spiritual herbs was rich. "Greetings, Elder." Within the room, there were 2 old men, 3 middle-aged men, and a beautiful woman, as well as a few other young men and women. Upon seeing Elder Zhou, they immediately bowed. While their gazes remained on Du Xiaofu, their eyes filled with doubt. "Elder, we can't wait any longer. The green bamboo spirit fruit must be added into the medicine. If we don't add it now, it will be too late." An old man said to Elder Zhou, "The green bamboo spirit fruit has already been eaten by this brat." Elder Zhou said to the crowd, "Fortunately, we made it in time. Treat this brat like a green bamboo spirit fruit and refine him, according to the theory of medicinal talismans. Perhaps the effects would be similar. I'll handle the rest. You all can leave. I will set up a restriction. No one is allowed to disturb me." Yes, everyone looked at Du Xiaofu in shock before leaving with their own astonished gazes. As everyone left, one rune after another condensed and transformed in Elder Zhou's palm before disappearing into the surroundings. "We're in big trouble now." At this moment, Du Xiaofu could no longer pretend to be calm. Profound qi erupted from his body as a pale, golden halo spread out. He wanted to escape immediately. He couldn't let this old man refine him. "You want to escape now? Don't you think it's too slow?" A huge binding force instantly enveloped Du Xiaofu's body, making it impossible for Du Xiaofu to move. He was completely unable to resist. The old man's strength was too strong, so strong that it exceeded Du Xiaofu's imagination. Du Xiaofu had only felt this kind of feeling when his drunkard father had shocked everyone in the Battle of the Stone City. Du Xiaofu, Du Tingxian, what a pair of bastard father and son. The older one stole my Huangji pill, and the younger one stole my green bamboo spirit fruit. Did I owe your Du family in my previous life? Bastard. As Du Xiaofu was bound, he heard a loud curse. In the end, his body was thrown to the side and he regained his freedom. Du Xiaofu raised his head in astonishment. His eyes were filled with shock as he said, "Senior, you know my father? How do you know that we're father and son?" "I can't forget, even if I wanted to." Elder Zhou glared fiercely at Du Xiaofu. His face and neck were red, and his veins were bulging. He said, "When I first saw you, I knew that you were Du Tingshuan's son. Your face is as shameless as your father's, but your eyes are like your mother's. There's no mistake about it." When Du Xiaofu heard this, his heart tightened for no reason. He stared intently at the elder and said, "You know my mother?" "I really don't know why that girl fell for Du Tingxian. In my opinion, she's not even as good as Mu Rongxi." Elder Zhou glared at Du Xiaofu and said, "Little bastard, you only need to tell me now. Do you want to live or die?" "I don't think anyone wants to die. Don't you think so, Senior?" Du Xiaofu looked at Elder Zhou, his eyes secretly moving. Based on Elder Zhou's tone, it seemed that there was still a chance. "Even your tone is exactly the same as Du Tingshuan's. No wonder they're father and son." Elder Zhou glared at Du Xiaofu and said, "You now have two choices. First, I will refine you like the green bamboo spirit fruit. Who knows? I might even be able to refine a Huangji pill. Let's talk about the second choice." Du Xiaofu clicked his tongue. Just thinking about it made his hair stand on end. Elder Zhou stared at Du Xiaofu with a serious expression before saying, "Let's talk about it when you're still alive. I'll still throw you into the alchemy cauldron." When Du Xiaofu heard these words, his face instantly turned ugly. This old fellow seemed to be deliberately toying with him. "You can directly swallow the green bamboo spirit fruit, although you'll obtain astonishing results. Do you know what effects it will have if it's refined into a Huangji pill?" Elder Zhou asked. Du Xiaofu shook his head. Although he had learned a lot about alchemy and symbol masters from Zhen Qingchen, he had yet to come into contact with high-grade pills. Therefore, he really did not know the effects of the Huangji pill. "Then do you know about the Martial King realm?" Elder Zhou asked Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu nodded his head. The Martial King realm was the peak existence of this continent. It was rumored that the number of King realm experts on this continent could be counted on one's fingers. Any one of them was an overlord. The Thunder Lion in the Stone City was currently in the process of stepping into the Beast King realm at the peak of the complete Beast Marquis realm. It was unknown how it was doing right now and whether it had truly stepped into the ranks of King realm experts. Then what's after the Martial King realm? Do you know? Elder Zhou glanced at Du Xiaofu and asked. When Du Xiaofu heard these words, his gaze slightly trembled as he said, "Martial King realm." When his voice fell, Du Xiaofu's heart surged with some yearning. The Martial King realm was an existence that ordinary cultivators could only dream of but not reach. The Martial King realm was an existence that ordinary cultivators could only dream of but not reach even for Pulse Spirit realm and Martial Marquis realm experts. It was rumored that once one reached the Martial King realm, they could move mountains and seas with just a wave of their hand. Martial King realm. In the entire Stone Dragon Empire, there are more than 100 million people. How many cultivators can step into the Martial King realm? Even in the Tianwu Academy, where geniuses gather, how many people have broken through to the Martial King realm after so many years? Elder Zhou said to Du Xiaofu, "To put it simply, the mighty Huang pill is an absolute royal-grade elixir. If a cultivator consumes the mighty Huang pill, they have at least a 50% chance of stepping into the Martial King realm." Du Xiaofu looked at Elder Zhou and his eyes flickered. The mighty Huang pill was indeed worthy of being called the treasure of the Tianwu Academy. It could allow a cultivator to have a 50% chance of stepping into the Martial King realm. In front of the mighty Huang pill, any Martial King realm cultivator would be willing to give up everything to exchange for it. It's a pity that you've swallowed the green bamboo spirit fruit. Although you're still alive, you haven't been able to bring out the full potential of the green bamboo spirit fruit. Elder Zhou looked at Du Xiaofu and thought of the green bamboo spirit fruit. He couldn't help but feel his heart ache as he said, "The other spirit herbs needed to refine the mighty Huangdan are all in this medicinal cauldron. Even if it's me, I still don't have the strength to refine the mighty Huangdan. I can only rely on the combined efforts of everyone and the earth core fire. Since you've already consumed the green bamboo spirit fruit and are still alive, you naturally have some means and ability. Therefore, I will throw you into the medicinal cauldron. You can absorb as much of the other spirit herbs as you can, but whether you live or die will depend on your own abilities." "Senior," just as Du Xiaofu was about to say something, a rune light suddenly enveloped him. His body was bound once again. Before he could react, he appeared in a blazing space of flames in the next instant. "Kid, if you're able to live, I'll write off the matter of the green bamboo spirit fruit. At that time, you just have to agree to one of my conditions. If you die, it'll be because you're not fated to obtain the green bamboo spirit fruit. I'll refine you into the mighty Huang pill." As these words entered Du Xiaofu's ears, the bindings around his body disappeared. Walala! As Du Xiaofu regained his freedom, a sea of flames suddenly appeared around Du Xiaofu's body. Under the high temperature, even the space seemed to tremble. The entire surrounding space was scarlet red. A terrifying blazing aura suddenly spread throughout the space, accompanied by blazing runes that flickered within the sea of flames. The sea of flames completely enveloped Du Xiaofu. What a terrifying temperature! Du Xiaofu's body immediately felt the burning pain from the blazing aura as he was enveloped by the blazing sea of flames. Compared to when he had faced the heavenly flaming Han Pan Yu's attack, this blazing temperature was like the difference between heaven and earth. Today's explosion, asking for fresh flowers and recommendation tickets. Little you continue writing. Chapter 257. At this moment, the flames in this space were truly terrifying, as if they could incinerate and destroy everything. The burning pain made his body feel like it was about to melt. This kind of heat was definitely not normal, and was not something that could be compared to ordinary heat. At this moment, if an ordinary pulse spirit realm cultivator were to be thrown in here, they would only be able to last a few breaths at most before being incinerated to ashes. Suddenly, in just a short instant, just as Du Xiaofu had activated a faint golden halo of profound energy to resist the terrifying flames, a mysterious energy spread out from within the faint golden halo of light. This mysterious energy seemed to be able to directly resist the terrifying heat, causing the burning pain that had just radiated from Du Xiaofu's body to disappear in an instant. In just a short moment, Du Xiaofu, who had just felt the burning pain in his body, felt the pain gradually disappear. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could even feel that the mysterious energy in his body wasn't resisting the blazing power, but devouring the blazing flames. Du Xiaofu was shocked. Upon closer inspection, he found that this mysterious energy did not come from the cultivation method of the great golden winged rock, but from a different kind of energy. He could faintly sense a trace of familiarity with it. Walala! The blazing flames in this space were constantly being absorbed and devoured by Du Xiaofu's body, causing Du Xiaofu's body to not fear the terrifying heat at all. This feeling reminded Du Xiaofu of the time when he had fought with Pan Yu, when such a change had occurred in his body as well. "Kid, hurry up and find some spiritual liquid. That person is right. If you can absorb the spiritual liquid, you will be able to obtain the greatest benefits. It might even be better than when you take the mighty emperor pill." Zhen Qingquan's voice rang out. However, under these blazing flames, it was not convenient for his primordial spirit to appear. "I feel spiritual medicine. Du Xiaofu, let me eat some too." The little demon's voice also rang out. "Forget it. I'll help you find the spirit medicine next time. This is useful for the green bamboo, spirit fruit." Du Xiaofu replied. His body was wrapped in a faint golden halo, but the surging flames around him were absorbed from the outside of the faint golden halo. "Walala!" Streams of flames entered Du Xiaofu's body before mysteriously disappearing. Humph, shameless human, the little demon cursed. Not long after, Du Xiaofu finally found a palm-sized spiritual liquid in the midst of the rolling flames. Multicolored light burst out, and the medicinal energy was astonishing. It was definitely not much weaker than the energy of the green bamboo spirit fruit. It was extremely vast. The spiritual liquid shone brightly, and a rich fragrance assailed his nostrils. The astonishing medicinal energy was like a volcano that could erupt at any time. Kid, the mighty emperor pill will not increase your cultivation level by much. It is more to lay the foundation for breaking through to the martial emperor realm in the future. As for its effects, you will naturally understand it in the future. However, the spiritual liquid refined from these spiritual medicine is very pure. After you take it, it will be difficult to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, it will be a disaster for you. Zhan Qingchun could feel the astonishing energy fluctuations of the spiritual liquid and reminded Du Xiaofu, the spiritual liquid is amazing, but it's not impossible to deal with it. Since that old man wants to help me, I won't hold back. A smile flashed across Du Xiaofu's face, and there was some anticipation in his eyes. At the same time, he opened his mouth and directly swallowed the palm-sized spiritual liquid along with the flames into his stomach. As the spiritual liquid was directly sucked into his stomach, it immediately turned into a ferocious energy that spread out. The ferocious energy was like a ferocious beast that had been awakened. Immediately, it crashed back and forth in Du Xiaofu's body. An intense pain immediately spread out from his body. The ferocious energy seemed to want to destroy everything. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu was in his peak condition at this time. Coupled with the fact that his physical body had been strengthened by a lot this time, he was barely able to bear it at this moment. However, the intense pain that spread out from his body still made Du Xiaofu roar uncontrollably. Ah! Du Xiaofu roared. The ferocious energy immediately seemed to explode his body and kill him. The ferocious energy wandered around the surface of his body, wanting to break out of his body. Refine the golden feather. Du Xiaofu endured the excruciating pain in his body and withdrew the golden halo around his body. Suddenly, he violently slammed into the edge of this space. He didn't know what he had hit, but rumbling sounds could be heard incessantly, and waves of excruciating pain could be felt from his body. As the golden halo around his body retracted, the blazing flames in the space were directly sucked into Du Xiaofu's body. The purple robe on Du Xiaofu's body also began to burn into ashes in the flames. The small pagoda and the small demon stone body of the small demon also fell from Du Xiaofu's body. A Qiankuan bag fell from the ashes of his clothes, but it was immediately wrapped up by a stream of light and swallowed into the small pagoda. However, the surging heat in this space did not affect Du Xiaofu's physical body in the slightest. Du Xiaofu only felt a faint burning pain, but it was still within the limits of what he could bear. Rumble, the ferocious energy in his body was surging like a stampede of 10,000 beasts. Du Xiaofu activated the body refining art to consume the energy, refining all the energy of the liquid into his body. The vibrations caused the space to tremble, and rumbling sounds could be heard incessantly. During this process, what Du Xiaofu did not expect was that the raging flames within this realm would also refine the golden feather, just like how it had absorbed Liu Xiao's evil devil qi yesterday. It would also refine the evil devil qi into his body. Even the mysterious energy of the devouring flames in his body was refined into his physical body at the same time. Outside the large cauldron, Elder Zhou's gaze was rather puzzled. The large cauldron in front of him rumbled and shook, as if there was a ferocious beast trapped inside that wanted to break out of the cauldron. The 7 earth core flames connected to the large cauldron gradually weakened. Hand seals formed, runes surged, and the entire space fluctuated with runes. His mind went into the large cauldron, and Elder Zhou's old face suddenly changed. Qi La! Changing his hand seals, Elder Zhou waved his hand, and the 7 earth core flames instantly intensified, surging into the large cauldron. The terrifying temperature increased by several folds, and the aura of the cauldron began to increase. Within the large cauldron, the flames intensified, and it was as if lava was gushing out. Du Xiaofu's entire body was enveloped by the scorching flames, but the mysterious energy in his body continued to devour the flames. However, as the flames intensified, the burning pain on Du Xiaofu's body grew stronger as well. At the same time, more of the scorching flames were being refined into his body. Within the large cauldron, Du Xiaofu was being tempered like a spiritual herb. The terrifying temperature was not something that an ordinary person could endure. Rumble! The large cauldron shook, and rumbling sounds could be heard incessantly, as though it would shatter at any moment. Within Tianwu Academy, time slowly ticked by. As Du Xiaofu entered the top 10 of the bounty board, this shocking news spread not only within Tianwu Academy, but also throughout the empire. In a simple and unadorned courtyard, Du Xiaoman stood in front of a woman in a long purple dress. Her long black hair was as smooth as a waterfall, loosely tied up. Her ethereal eyes were filled with shock as she asked, "Teacher, is what you said true?" "You have to be prepared. 6 days ago, Du Xiaofu was captured by Elder Zhou. No one knows what the current situation is, but I'm afraid that it won't be good for him. The green bamboo spirit fruit is Elder Zhou's lifeblood. Not only did Du Xiaofu destroy half of the herb farm, he even stole the green bamboo spirit fruit. I'm afraid that Elder Zhou will not be polite to him. Nothing must happen to that brat." Du Xiaoman's figure shook when she heard this, and her graceful figure seemed to be silently enchanting. Her eyes that were clear like a stream emanated a tranquil aura, while ripples arose on her pretty face, and her cherry lips curled up into a moving arc. In the unadorned courtyard, Ouyang Xuan's beautiful face changed. Her large eyes were filled with astonishment as she looked at Mu Rongxi and pleaded, "Uncle Shi, what should we do now? That brat has been captured by Elder Zhou. Will he be fine? Will Elder Zhou really treat him as the green bamboo spirit fruit and refine him? Elder Zhou has set up a restriction, and no one can enter. I don't know what's going on inside, but the green bamboo spirit fruit is Elder Zhou's lifeblood. I'm afraid that Brat's situation isn't optimistic. I hope that Brat didn't consume the green bamboo spirit fruit, or else." Murongxi's expression turned grave after his words sounded. If that brat had consumed the green bamboo spirit fruit, the situation would be unimaginable. The majestic palace stretched endlessly, and it was majestic and magnificent. "Shengnan, how are your arrangements going?" Within the palace, an old man looked at a young lady dressed in tight clothes and asked. His face was filled with wrinkles, resembling the wrinkles of a bitter gourd. His cheekbones were like 2 small mountains on his thin face, and he had a thin and pale goatee. He gave off a sage-like vibe, and yet he still struck fear into those who looked at him. The young lady dressed in tight clothes had a pair of slender legs and a slim waist, outlining her alluring curves. There was a hint of coolness in her elegant demeanor. She looked at the old man and replied respectfully, "Senior Uncle, I have made all the arrangements. We are just waiting for Senior Uncle's arrival to activate Tianwu Academy." "Tianwu Academy? I've never heard of it, but I would like to take a look." A young man spoke. He was around 16 to 17 years old, and the curves of his handsome face were as perfect as those in legends. Chapter 258. Long eyelashes, eyebrows faintly discernible under his messy fringe, and a pair of slightly plump lips the color of begonia petals. At the mention of Tianwu Academy, a playful smile appeared on the young man's face, with a hint of naughtiness, as though he did not take it to heart at all. The tight-fitting lady smiled faintly and said, "Junior Guyu's talent is naturally unparalleled. However, Tianwu Academy has been established for many years and has quite a strong foundation. In the past, Tianwu Academy had produced many unparalleled experts. It's good to have a strong foundation. Otherwise, if one is too weak, it would be meaningless. The young man smiled faintly, a trace of a smile spreading across his face. His pair of dazzling black eyes seemed to be able to see through the past and present, and when he smiled, there was a hint of danger. In the quiet bamboo forest, there was a faint moon in the sparse forest. A round moon gradually rose into the sky against the night sky. A patch of transparent gray clouds covered the moonlight. Above the bamboo forest, there seemed to be a patch of light smoke, as though it was falling into a dream. On a bamboo chair, an old man was lying down lightly, taking a nap. A lady walked over. She was dressed in a light blue dress, with a green veil draped over her body. Her shoulders were slender, her waist was slender, and her skin was smooth and supple. Her hair was casually tied into a loose bun, with a light purple flower inserted into it. She did not wear any makeup, and her lips were not red. The lady walked into the bamboo forest alone. Her aura was like an orchid, and her charm was boneless. Then she quietly sat down beside the bamboo chair. "Fair, lass, you're here." The old man opened his eyes. On his skinny and tanned face, his gaze was rather bright, without any turbidity. "I'll look for grandfather to make a decision." The lady smiled sweetly, her beautiful eyes filled with intelligence. The night breeze in the bamboo forest blew a few strands of hair down to her waist, as though they were carried away by the wind. "Lass, you've always been smart. There's nothing you can't decide on." The old man stood up. His entire body was lean and thin. The plain robe on his body made him look like a bamboo pole carrying a cloth bag. His bony chest was stuck to the robe, and one could faintly see that there were strips of blinds on his body. If Du Xiaofu was here, he would definitely recognize that the old man was North Vanquishing King, whom he had met in the dark forest. The woman helped the North Vanquishing Prince up and said, "Grandfather, I can't make the decision regarding the Divine Radiance Court. I just received news from the palace that we will head to the Tianwu Academy tomorrow. Tianwu Academy has existed for so many years, but it seems like there are still people who are concerned about it." Lord North Vanquishing King frowned slightly. The moonlight shone through the gaps in the bamboo forest and shone on his dark face, casting mottled shadows. After a short pause, he said, "I'm afraid we can't do anything about this. It seems that the Imperial Palace is also interested this time. Their actions are quite profound. They are all testing us. Grandpa, I know what to do." The woman smiled. With just a few words, she seemed to have resolved some of the worries in her heart. With a faint smile, her eyes were bright and alluring. "MHM, it's good that you understand." North Vanquishing Prince stretched his limping body. His originally skinny body now looked like a long wooden stick. Then he looked at the girl and smiled. "You still look good like this. Next time, don't make yourself look like that. Even Grandpa can't stand it, let alone other young geniuses. Don't be so scared that no one will come to propose marriage. Anyway, you won't like those people anyway." "Grandpa, you're doing it again." The woman stared at the North Vanquishing King with her beautiful eyes. Her shy expression made her look charming and charming. "Sigh, I wonder how that brat in the dark forest is doing. He's just a little too young. Otherwise, he would be a good candidate to be my grandson-in-law." The North Vanquishing King smiled. Late at night, the sky was filled with dew. A round moon hung high in the sky, shining its cold light onto the ground. Deep in the courtyard, a middle-aged man stood. He had a tall and sturdy figure, and his facial features were distinct and deep. His deep and dark eyes didn't seem restrained. He said to the old man in front of him, "Father, there's news from the palace. The people from the Divine Light Court have arrived and will be heading to Tianwu Academy tomorrow." Hearing this, the old man's expression didn't change much. His eyes were black and shiny, and his gaze was so sharp that it seemed as though it could pierce through anything. His silver-white hair seemed to be covered in snow, as though he had been through many hardships. He said, "The Divine Light Court is probing the palace and Tianwu Academy. The palace is also probing our reaction. Since that's the case, you should make a trip there." "I understand." The man nodded his head and left quietly. Time passed like sand between one's fingers. Du Xiaofu had been in the cauldron for a total of 9 days. Rumble. The cauldron swayed, and the rumbling sounds became louder and louder. For a total of 7 days, the rumbling sounds never stopped. Crack, crack. Runes spread around the 3-legged cauldron. At this moment, many cracks had already appeared on the surface of the cauldron. Shockingly hot flames spread out from the cracks, and golden rays of light shot out. How can this brat be so abnormal? Elder Zhou sat cross-legged in front of the 3-legged cauldron. His body was shrouded in a dazzling light, and his eyes, which were as deep as the stars, were filled with shock. Looking at the continuously cracking cauldron, his gaze was filled with fear and trepidation. Through his mental energy, Elder Zhou clearly knew that Du Xiaofu was completely unharmed in the past 7 days. Instead, he had absorbed 7 days' worth of earth core fire to refine himself. Furthermore, his forging methods were extremely cruel and extremely masochistic. It was no wonder that people would say that this brat was extremely savage. Although this cauldron wasn't an extremely powerful talisman weapon, it was still a medicinal cauldron. It was almost comparable to a talisman weapon. Ordinary talisman masters used spiritual cauldrons and talisman cauldrons to refine pills, but there were extremely few pills that could be refined using medicinal cauldrons. At this moment, seeing that the medicinal cauldron had been fiercely smashed apart by Du Xiaofu, Elder Zhou was shocked. Just how powerful did one's physical body have to be in order to possess such ferocious strength? Within the medicinal cauldron, Du Xiaofu's body was wrapped in surging earth core fire. On the surface of his body, faint golden talisman inscriptions flickered. It seemed that in these 9 days he had once again refined the golden feather to its peak. After being refined by various energies and flames, as if it had been tempered into steel, Du Xiaofu's physical body had once again transformed. It could be said that it had undergone an astonishing transformation. Walala! At this moment, Du Xiaofu stood within the space of flames. The terrifying aura on his body was so domineering that it caused people to tremble, as if it could sweep through everything. The talisman inscriptions on his body flickered, as if a golden-winged roc had flapped its wings and rushed out. It was terrifying, sharp, domineering, and intimidating. At this moment, the faint golden talisman inscriptions on Du Xiaofu's body emitted a hazy light, as if there was a mist lingering about. A terrifying aura pervaded the air, transforming. Perhaps it could be said that there was something awakening within the golden talisman inscriptions. Perhaps even the real golden-winged roc had not awakened this kind of awakening. At this moment, something seemed to have been unintentionally awakened by Du Xiaofu, and a hidden aura was gradually awakening. At this moment, even Du Xiaofu himself felt a kind of powerful feeling. His physical body had been refined to its peak, and it was still improving. It was as if he was about to step into a new world. This kind of feeling was something that had never appeared before. Roar! Du Xiaofu shouted loudly and continued to fiercely refine himself. Again and again he attacked the cauldron within the flames, refining and refining himself. He wanted to step into a new world in refining the golden feather. Early in the morning, everything was silent. The first rays of dawn slowly awakened the sleeping creatures. When the first ray of light pierced through the thin mist, it enveloped the quiet Tianwu Academy. Wang. Suddenly, early in the morning, the ancient bell chimes sounded in the academy. There was a total of 6 chimes, and they reverberated through the mountains. What's going on? Did something happen in the academy? The 6 chimes represent a welcome. There should be some important figure coming to Tianwu Academy. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a ceremony. I wonder who it is. Let's go and take a look. In Tianmu Academy, many freshmen and seniors rushed out from various places and gathered at the entrance of the academy. Early in the morning, the mountain range around Tianmu Academy was filled with vague shadows. The mountain peaks were all different, and they exuded an ancient aura. Outside the academy, on the massive square, many elders were gathered. Even though they had retracted their auras, they still gave off an oppressive aura. The few elders standing at the front were Elder He Hu, Elder Sun, Elder Morongxi, Elder Liao, Elder Fu, and the purple-robed Elder Shangguan. Behind the elders, there were many senior students and instructors of the academy standing. The freshmen were all in the academy from afar, and they were still not used to the invisible aura of the elders. Amidst the crowd, Du Xiaoman and Ouyang Xuan stood together. One of them was fiery, beautiful, and noble, and no one dared to approach her. The other was fiery, seductive, and seductive. At the same time, she exuded a cold aura that one could only admire from afar. When the two ladies stood together, they immediately attracted the fiery gazes of the surrounding youths. However, no one dared to look at them directly. They could only sneak a peek from afar. "Sister Xiaoman, there is still no news of that lad. What should we do?" Ouyang Xuan looked at Du Xiaoman with worry in her large eyes. "I hope that nothing bad will happen to him," Du Xiaoman said with worry in her eyes. "Walala!" Right at this moment, amidst the tranquility of the morning, a huge fluctuation suddenly appeared in the horizon. Vaguely, several powerful foreign auras flew over.